Hello, Yeshua Network. Nathan Wheeler here, founder of the page. This is a very special video today. This is not something that we normally do, and I apologize for being a little bit late. As always, a little bit of technical difficulties. Nothing new for this ministry. Always a little something, something, giving us about a 15-minute, 5 to 15 minute delay. So, want to thank every single person for being here. For like a very basic introduction, we're going to jump on into this, but I do want to say that it is extremely important to me that this does not perpetuate any malice towards any individuals. I am not looking to gang up on anybody. I'm not looking to gossip myself about anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I might hurt people's feelings. I might say some words that are very strong and very forward, but I say that just to be clear and not allow for confusion, which will then spur more drama. So please understand my intention and please do not, uh, you know, um, be ill-willed even in your heart towards anybody else. If you want to be ill-willed towards somebody, be ill-willed towards me. I am responsible at the end of the day for this page. I take full responsibility for any issues or dramas or anything that happens. And so this is me taking responsibility. And I do want to let everybody know before we even start, the things that I have done wrong, the things that have been wrong with this ministry have already begun to be corrected. Doesn't sound like the proper English term there. It's already been addressed and the correction is already in play. Okay, we should be completed with it, hopefully by even the end of this coming week. I'm not going to be probably reading any comments, though I welcome them. I could potentially address any comments or questions you have in another video, but this video might be long. And so in order to get through it all and to make sure everything gets covered properly, I will stay focused. And it's, this is something that needs my absolute utmost focus. Also, I want to say that while you may think this video is not needed, it is needed. There is definitely a thing about me, about my life, that has always been there. And this is not my first time at this rodeo. This is my first time dealing with this type of thing here at Yeshua Network. But it's obviously not my first time dealing with this type of thing in life. And so before my ministry ever began, some of you know the story. I did delete the recent video. I'm going to mention it again in this video because it's important that this video remain on Yeshua Network. We're going to post it on the YouTube channel so that it doesn't get deleted. And I hope that people will use this video for future issues, people who come in and have future issues, or you hear a future gossip or anything like that about me. Hopefully you can just copy and paste and share this video with them in the future. And this video will speak to this issue. It'll speak to my strangeness, which we will get into. I'm trying not to kind of, you know, put the carriage before the horse here. But this will deal with that. Making this video hopefully will deal with that. And I want everybody to understand that this video is me confessing as well that I have done wrong things. So I will get into the details of those things, not too detailed, not to the point to where I'm also embarrassing anybody else who might be involved or who might be associated. So if you're one of those people, don't freak out. Your name will not be mentioned. I will not be throwing anybody under the dirt or under the bus or whatever, throwing mud on anybody's face. Nobody's got to eat crow but me, because this is my choice, as the Bible says, to come clean, to confess. And since I am, the founder and head minister of this page, it is my responsibility. It is my duty before God to do exactly what I'm doing. And I am doing it. And I did not hesitate. I jumped right on it. I've been begging people to come forward and to talk to me directly about the rumors that have been going around. I even posted it and mentioned it in EBRT, which is Entire Bible Read Through, our weekly videos, and nobody was really coming forward. But there was a few people. Nobody was coming forward who was perpetuating the rumors. But there was a few people who the rumors had reached them, who had reached out to me, and they showed me what was going on. They told me what was going on, who the people were that were telling them the rumors. And so then I was able to really start addressing this. And the last 2 weeks or so, there was a spike in rumor mill activity and spreading rumors activity. And it was having a very bad effect on God's house, on this ministry. And I want to say this is God's house. This is absolutely not the Nathan Wheeler show. That's my name. I know I don't have a name badge underneath me. This is absolutely not the Nathan Wheeler show. My name, it doesn't say Yeshua when I click my video off, or it doesn't say Nathan, it says Yeshua, right? When I click my video off. So anybody who has, really, it doesn't matter where your heart was behind it. You have created damage in this ministry by not coming and addressing me, by not writing me an email and saying, hey, this is my concern. I'd like to talk to you about it. And just coming at me saying, this is the thing I've been rumoring about you. This is the thing a few of us have been rumoring about you. This is the thing that we have concluded in our minds without any proof, but we have uh, some shady things you've done or said that highly allude to it and kind of seems to confirm it, though we don't have actual proof of the thing we're telling people you're doing. So I will prove that I didn't do the thing that I was accused of, not in the way that they are saying I did. And then I will admit to the things I did do that added to the shadiness that drew them to that conclusion. So to be very clear, I am coming forward, I am confessing. I don't see anybody else coming forward or confessing their role in damaging and hurting this ministry. And it is damage. In all honesty, I'm on the verge of totally quitting because and not because of my shame of the things I've done. I have an entire 12-year track record of me spilling my beans and all my dirty laundry and all the most embarrassing things, like getting in a fist fight at my brother's funeral and all sorts of stuff with my other brother, being thrown against the house, the Airbnb I stayed at, and having to pay $2,000 to fix it. I was clear with all that stuff. Most people would want to hide that, but not me. I'll come right out and I will admit it. I will show it. I will tell it to the world. So that's not the reason I want to quit. I just want to say this in front because I don't think everybody's going to get through the video. The thing that has really made it hard for me to not just stop, either pass the torch to somebody or to just, leave this ministry altogether, is the fact that I begged people so many times, 10 to 15 times at least over the last year. But let's expand that just for a padding because I don't want to lie. Let's say that at least over the last 3 years, I know I have mentioned or even made videos exclusively to the request of, if you have a problem with me, send me an email about the problem right here at Yeshua Network. And none of the people who were in the gossip rumor mill system are blocked on this page, even today. They were never blocked at any moment. So they can't say, well, I'm not on the page. Nathan blocked me. Absolutely not. None of these people were blocked. They could have absolutely wrote me an email and said, basically whatever they wrote you or told you on the phone, they could have easily said the exact same thing to me. And in 3 years or more since this rumor was kind of sparked, really took life in the last year, they never did. And the fact that many of you, when I made my video the other day, basically saying I'm going to call everything out and just dirty all the laundry of this ministry, ironically enough, within 15 minutes, all of a sudden I started getting contacted and I started getting phone calls. And I saw how many of you were like, hey, I heard the rumor, I never came forward. Hey, I heard the rumor, I believed it kind of bothered me. I just didn't know what to do or what to say. And that is what makes me want to quit because I feel like I know I'm a bull in a china shop sometimes, but I also feel like I have done. I don't know anybody who's ever come forward with a mistake or junk or something they've done wrong and a turnaround time as much as me. I'm not trying. I mean, this is not me boasting video. This is me admitting my sins. But to think that there's so many people who have been harboring really nasty ideas and really nasty things in their heart about me while I'm sitting there on EBRT thinking that we're all in this joyful fellowship. And in reality, some of you are sitting there with this deep, dark secret or idea about me. And yeah, I'm totally confessing it's broken me. More broken than I already was before all this got here. It really makes me think like all of it's a lie. Like all of this is a lie. You probably think it's a lie because of the lies I'm going to confess to you today. I'm thinking your fellowship and your friendship and your love for me is a lie because you didn't love me enough to call me out on my junk or to share the rumor with me. And that might be my fault too. That might be my fault too because maybe I'm not approachable. But I mean, you guys have seen me repent in video in real time. So if you call me out on something I've actually done, I really don't have a problem saying, yeah, I did that. But if you call me out on something I didn't do, or you're being a bully, or you're being, manipulative or a gaslighter, yeah, I'll admit, I will totally stand my ground and I'll die on my hill. So I'm extreme. I'll jump to it and say, yeah, that's my crime. I did it. Make your judgment of me. There it is. But I will also totally die on a hill for the things I did not do. So that's that. That's the intro. So, maybe you won't watch any more of that. And that's what this video is about. And there's going to be a testimony in this video today that's not my words. There's going to be testimony from people who there will be testimony from an individual who will also help you. So before I go forward, let me say one more thing. This video is not a tit for tat video. This video is not to show everybody how right I am. This video is to address the deeper problem that acts like the wood to the fire to fuel the rumors and the lies and the accusations and the confusion that people have about me and thus the ministry. I know that may not make sense right now, but at the end of this video, if you are a person who's ever gone like, I don't know, this guy just has such horrible luck. I don't know. This guy either seems like he's always doing something big. He's always trying to do like some big scheme. He seems like he has big ambitions. And then at the same time, he's like on the verge of always being homeless. Like, what's this guy's deal? If God is for this guy, why does he struggle so much? If this ministry is as blessed as it seems to be, why does this guy struggle so much? If you have ever even remotely had that thought in your head, and if it has ever begun to have little roots going into your mind or your heart that there is something evil about me or bad about me, I am a sinner. I don't think I'm evil. Also, a lot of people in the rumor mill specifically use the word that I have a demon, and they said that I am not worthy of doing ministry. I don't have a demon. I have influence of the evil of the world and the flesh, like any other human being in the world, and I'm not worthy of ministry. I said that to God in 2007 before I even started this ministry, but he killed me and said I had to do it, even though we all know I'm unworthy to do ministry. So that's not a big secret. And for those people who made it an effort to both spread the gossip and the lies about me, without addressing me, and who also wanted to tell me things like that. Well, this person has something very horrendous against you, but we're not going to tell you what it is. This person says that they've seen you do something or behave in a way that makes you unfit for ministry, and everybody should know what it is, but you don't want to tell me what it is. And you're also not getting those individuals on a call with me or on a group chat with me to have that, right? You will say you will, but then it's not happening. Like, you're not sending the message, you're not sending the group chat saying, "Hey, Nathan, this is the person who said that thing about you. I talked to them. Here we are in a group chat. I think you guys should talk it out. I think you should address this. I think you should have a chance to stand before your accuser, like Deuteronomy says that everybody should do." So that hasn't happened, and that is what has me basically borderline just ready to jump ship. But I'm still here, and I've still already implemented the corrections that need to take place to save this ministry, even if I'm not here. So let's be very clear about this. This is not that the ministry is over. It just depends on how this moves forward, right? So today I'm going to do my best to heal. And again, this is not me trying to defend or say that I'm not responsible for the wrongdoings. I, Nathan Wheeler, at the end of the day, am always responsible for how this page functions or the health therein. I am only one responsible at this page. I am. Now, this is me addressing that though. Oh, that was me actually getting some crypto, just in case anybody was wondering, because that was the other rumor. Every time you guys hear me get a text message, here, I'm going to text message myself right now. Every time you guys hear me get a text message over the last 12 years, that is me exchanging crypto. I just text messaged myself. See that? I just sold another coin, I guess. I just got rich, guys. So wait, let me just send another one so you guys know it's not a coincidence. Let me get some. Oh, there's another one. So just so you guys know, I'm selling cryptocurrency, and I'm doing all that while I'm in chat with you guys, totally focused on the Lord, but also, letting my money do its thing right by me. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm glad that I could show that to you in real time while that happened. Let me turn that off, because I'll have more crypto and all that coming through. So that is the foundation. Please understand that this is the heart. It is about healing the ministry, even if I'm not involved. Okay. And so moving forward, all those things have already begun to fix the ministry. Okay. So so we have some things. I'm just going to read my script because it's the only way for me to get through it fast because you guys know me. I'll keep going. We have some things trying to break up this amazing fellowship we have here. And as the owner of the page, it is my responsibility to address it and deal with it immediately. So that is what this video is. However, please hear this. While this topic may not be of any concern to some of you at first, and probably wish it was done and over with already, it should be of concern and something you want done when you consider how damaging it has been to both the ministry, to other brothers and sisters who have been hurt by me and or by the situation and the damage it has done to myself personally. But above all, the worst of the worst is the effect it has had on our Father's house here. This ministry is not about me. Anyone who has been around for a second knows that, and we need to make sure that it stays that way forever. After I make this video today, I know that it will be a video that will be very useful in the future, as there will be many more people who either you will invite to this ministry or who will stumble across it, and they will see or they will hear some things that don't seem to add up. Something is fishy. Things about me, my health, my finances, my seemingly supernatural level of bad luck, or whatever else can come in and you have thought or you have seen or just doesn't, it just causes confusion. And it really, at the core of it, has to do with something about me. These things will be the seeds to future rumors. They have played a massive role in our current gossip rumor mill situation, and it has to stop. And that also means I have to stop adding to it with, white lies, adjustable lies, deceiving behavior, shady behavior, holding back, things like that. So I, again, am addressing that I have that issue. We will get to that in this video. Continuing on. And let me say before I go any further, things I have done wrong. See, lies I have said, yeah, indeed, they will all get addressed. More importantly, sharing with others while telling, I skipped a line. Things that seem to still feel justified in a, so there's things about me where the people who did spread these rumors and lies about me, and gossiped about me, they feel justified. According to my conversations with them, they feel justified in both their behavior and the conclusions they came to. And even after I explain to them how their conclusion very specifically is just not true, and I will explain it to you as well in this video, there really wasn't an apology. And I want to be completely honest about that too. There was no apologetic spirit or heart about it. It was, at the end of the day, you have a demon and you need to fix this, and you're not taking responsibility, and we feel justified in this. They called it an intervention on me. But remind you, an intervention is where people come around a person and address the issue. I had to get on and threaten going public with all information that includes all the people gossiping about me, including their sins, their wrongdoings. And then within 15 minutes of making that video, I started getting calls, which I guess was their planned intervention. But I was the one who initiated my own intervention. So I just want to be very clear that there was no remorse in that. And that is a part of the thing that has disgusted me. It's disgusting the things I did and you will hear about, but it's also disgusting how after I'm here coming forward and confessing my part and taking responsibility and making immediate corrections to my wrongdoings, I don't see anybody else doing the same. Who, again, I'm only talking about the people who perpetuated the rumor. Okay, I'm anybody else, I'm fine. If you have something before you go rumoring about it with me, or if you have once or twice, come and talk to me. I'm cool with you. But the fact that I had to go this length and behave in this way to get this to be addressed and fixed, it's not okay. It's not okay. I forgive them. I love them. They're more than welcome, of course, to be in fellowship with any of you folks. None of them are blocked, but I think it's more damaging, and there was more evil in intent in that behavior than my intent, which again you'll hear about in this. But we'll continue on. I have posted many videos requesting anyone, as I said, and everyone to approach me. I know some of you are scared from me or scared of me. That's what I'm being told. I am being told I'm a bully, I'm a manipulator, and so on and so forth. So if that is the case and you feel that way about me, I am asking you once again, please write me so we can have a conversation about it. And as I'm doing now, without mentioning your name or throwing mud on your face, I will do my best to correct my behavior and make the adjustments that need to be done for the sake of this ministry. You can tell I'm not saying anybody's name. You can tell I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I won't do that, though I have all the desire in my flesh to do that. I have information that would cause marriages to be broken up, children to be taken away, and people to lose their careers. I have proof of it. It's not hearsay. I have it either in text or in video or in audio. I have all these proofs. And the fact that I am not releasing that information on the World Wide Web demonstrates my reservation, demonstrates my self-control. I want every part of my body and my mind. I haven't slept in 3 days because I want nothing more than to release all the dirt I have on these people who have lied about me and went behind my back. But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I hope that for those of you who hear my confessions today and you might think I'm a super bad guy, I hope you realize that I think all of us would want to defend ourselves against our enemy and we would want our enemies to be taken out. We do have a commandment from the Lord that says vengeance is mine. Now, some of you were contacted about me in a vengeful spirit. Some of you were told that I did something to these people or I hurt these people, and thus they wanted you, not me. They wanted you, the other followers, the other members of this ministry, to know the crimes I've done and to know the shady things I've done and the things they think I'm doing. Had no proof, but think I'm doing. And enough of you believed. If you didn't believe and you don't know, I'm not talking to you. But enough of you did. So that was vengeance. That was revenge. And I'm telling you, I have proof of more horrific things than what I'm being accused of. And I'm not doing it because that's what the Bible says. So, so there's this video. Strangely enough, even though this rumor has been around for years, I've already spoken to that. Let's be clear and upfront. I'm not saying I'm spotless. I think I said that too, but I'm glad I'm saying it again. I'm not without major fault here, but the thing that was being said about me was indeed a lie. I addressed this in the video. I will address this in the video in a bit. I want it to be known that I do take responsibility for my sins, my wrongdoings, and major role. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. I went off script. Um, okay, said all this. Um, I did know something was going on, but it wasn't until some of you who came forward, because people were just all of a sudden stopping the ministry. They weren't saying goodbye, and they were all stopping at the exact same time. So it was like, when one person leaves and at the exact same time, 4 or 5 other people leave, you're like, well, that was weird. I didn't have an issue or I wasn't in an issue with all 5 of those people. So why'd they leave? Right. And then I reached out to them and say, hey, what's going on? So let's get to the core accusations, which I kind of already addressed with the joke of the chime on my phone. I'm being accused of basically taking your guys' donations and gambling it away. I'm being accused of buying cryptocurrency. Specifically, it's my understanding that the big thing is cryptocurrency and also like it's called day trading. So a few things that you guys should know. I have owned cryptocurrency ever since starting this ministry. I have, but not from your donations. I have not held cryptocurrency except for when there were uh, donors. There was basically members who saw that people were buying cryptocurrency because I brought it up at a meetup and I suggested people to buy crypto. And if they had held on to the crypto I told them to buy, they'd be doing very good right now. But a lot of them, of course, sold when it dipped down. I too sold when it dipped down. But to get back to it, I did buy crypto with some cash that was given to me specifically for buying crypto. So I did own crypto for a little while. I tried to trade it. I tried to day trade it. What that means is I trade it within the same day. I buy, I sell, I buy, I sell within the same day. I was trying to make, some money to get ahead, so I didn't have to take any more donations from you guys. However, that money was given to me to buy crypto. So, did I do wrong with it because I lost it? I mean, I guess, isn't that investing? I wasn't like I was trying to abuse it. I didn't take it out and go sniff coke off of a stripper's boob. I didn't take it and go, fly to Bahamas and sink pina coladas or anything like that. I didn't do some Hunter Biden stuff, is what I'm saying. I tried to make it make more money, and the stock and the tickers at the time were falling. And I eventually got so low, I decided to just go and buy groceries and go out to, on a date with it. That's what I did with the remaining balance. I'm just telling you the truth. So, but as for day trading stocks, you can day trade crypto because there's no laws against it. But as for day trading stocks, there's a law called pattern day trading. P, D is in David, T is in Tom. And you need a minimum of $25,000 in an account. You cannot spend it. You cannot use it to trade. It stays in the account. This is an American law. It's not my opinion. It's not an option. It's a law. I have not had any 25,000, anywhere close to $25,000 saved up since 2010, which was the last time I did do day trading. And for anybody who's new, this ministry started in 2013. I think technically maybe even 2014 with Yeshua Network. My other ministry, Truth Me Free, started in 2013. In fact, we're coming up 10 days away or 8 days away from its anniversary. So I legally have never had the opportunity to day trade. Have I wanted to? I absolutely have. And I'm going to confess something else with you. The person who I quote unquote sold the formula rights and connected to the manufacturer of this thing called Soraya, it's my skincare. I just can't run a company anymore. I don't have it in me. If you don't know why, I lost a very, very big, very successful company that was the alcohol business. And I just don't have it in me to ever deal with employees again. I don't have it in me to chase a dream again. And so I sold those rights to Soraya for $25,000. And to be very clear, I never got a check for $25,000. I got multiple checks over a course of almost a year to equate to $25,000. And those checks paid my rent. That's what happened with it. So at the end of me basically I exchanged roughly a year of my rent for the rights to Soraya, but I never actually got to day trade. But that was the reason why I wanted to day trade, but I didn't get the lump sum. So I never had the ability to meet the government quota to day trade. So this is all the thing. Now you're going to wonder, why day trading? Is this guy a gambler? What's his deal? Well, I actually have a legitimate background in trading. I actually built the big company I was talking about. A lot of it in the beginning was funded because I was day trading, the 25,000. I stopped day trading because I realized that I could make more money putting the money directly into my business. So my business got to the point where the return was better for me to buy more product or buy more rights to more brands. And so I thought, well, that's even a better return than I was doing in day trading. And I was running the company. So I could not day trade and run the company at the same time. That was why in 2010, I transferred those funds, put it into the company. Most of it went towards paying my lawyer to set up the LLC and the rights, the first rights that I got. And it was quite expensive, and that's where the money went to. But I didn't have any quorum about that at the time. Of course, 2019 comes and I lose a lot, more than you'll ever know. I lost a lot, more than millions. I'll put it to you that way. More than millions I lost. And that's kind of been my downfall ever since. And a lot of you know that. I haven't hid any of this from you. But you'll get to where the lie started. In fact, let's just do it now while we're on the topic. So many of you have raised funds for me multiple times. Okay, let's get into some of the shadiness, as it was called, some of the things that don't add up. Um, Sorry, hold on. Let me correct my behavior. Already, I'm going to correct my behavior because I'm being that aggressive person. I'm being that bull in the china shop. You have every right to think that I am shady. Anybody who's ever thought that. Okay? I was given money to buy an RV. My friends who knew me, the people who were associated with me in my business, literally did do an intervention. They did gather around and they did sit me down and they said, "We think you've lost your mind. You have one of the most amazing lives here in LA. You're a very important person in LA. You are connected. You are doing great. Things are about to pop off. And you are saying that God told you to get an RV and a truck and go tour city to city to city to basically, do ministry." And they were like, we don't know who that person is. Like you're gonna go like Paul, the apostles and the apostles, and go city to city and go do. And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, we didn't even know this about you. And I was like, well, why would you? This is my personal thing. This is between me and God. So you guys helped me because I did not have the money. This was at the time that I was losing my business. It was basically right before COVID, and I was losing my business for a lot of reasons, and COVID ended up basically being the nail in the coffin. Supposedly, somebody said that I asked you guys to raise money to help me save my company. I believe that's possibly true. I would have asked you guys to help me if I could, because I was $30,000 short of saving my company. But I'm glad I didn't save it, because if I did, I would have been $15 million in debt by the time COVID ended. So it was a good thing that I never fully raised the total amount I needed to save the company. So whatever money you might have raised for me to save my company, it wasn't enough. So again, I guess there's nothing to show for it. You did end up raising money for me a bit later. It must have been a bit later, but you raised money for me for the RV, my truck, and also this thing called Thousand Trails membership. So just to be clear, the RV was about 35,000, my truck was 28,000, and the Thousand Trails membership was 20,000. So you're looking at a lot of money. Not all of it was raised. It wasn't like it was all paid off. I'm still paying on my Thousand Trails today. It's still one of my bills. And technically, I'm still paying on my truck bill because all I did was switch my truck in, and then I got the car that I can Uber with now. So I'm technically still paying on the truck. So the money that was raised really went towards the RV, and I was still paying on the RV. So I didn't even raise the total amount for the RV. I raised enough to put a down payment on the truck and a down payment on the RV and enough money to go city to city with. But I wasn't rolling in the cash. I didn't have a girlfriend with me. I didn't take a friend with me so we could make it kind of like this, let's go travel across America. I was all by myself. I stayed by myself. I lived by myself. I didn't have a dog. There was no extra expense. I reduced my expense as much as possible. So, if anybody had the idea that I took the RV money, the truck money, the Thousand Trail money, and I was doing, again, some shady business with it, I wasn't. That was supposed to be my home. That's supposed to be where I'm living even to this day, or hopefully by this time I would have saved up money to put a down payment on a house. But as many of you know, it crashed in the middle of the night. It fell into a water gully. It got totaled. I was able to get out almost all my stuff, not everything even. I did lose a lot of things, but I lost all that money too. And the insurance, of course, didn't give me full value for it. They gave me some, and it helped me stay alive. Your donations helped me stay alive while I was doing the Airbnb. And then eventually I got to move out to the farm here in Tennessee. And thank God for that. It was a massive blessing. I was in a very dark headspace because I lost my company. I was in a very dark headspace because I crashed my home, and I was basically like homeless, really. I was like couch bouncing between my friend's place and Airbnbs until this farm welcomed me in. And when I was living on the farm, the idea was, I'll take care of it. It'll kind of be like a mutual investment. My investment is my time and energy. I said some things that hurt their feelings, and very rightfully so. They started pumping the brakes on me. I said some things that I didn't mean, and I reacted and showed facial expressions and tones that caused them to think I was being negative towards them or something they did for me. But that wasn't the case. My negative expressions had everything to do with the fact that I was freaking out because I didn't know how I was going to get back on my feet living on the farm. One of the ideas I had was that, I asked them to get me a freeze dryer, and they got me a freeze dryer, but when it arrived, it was much smaller than I thought. And I kind of demonstrated this face, and I showed my expression of like disappointment. And I guess I huffed and puffed, and I believe all this. I'm admitting to it. But it wasn't that I was disappointed with their efforts or the fact that they got the freeze dryer. My hope was that I could do some freeze drying and I could sell the freeze dried food and stuff for end time prep. And I could make a living off of it that way while working and living on the farm. But it was way too small. Like if I freeze dried every day, it would have been just enough really for my own preparations. It wouldn't have been enough to sell anything really. So that was my expression, but they took it as I was ungrateful or I was like poo-pooing on their efforts to try to help me. And they bought it. I didn't buy it. And so that was kind of, I think, the beginning of the woes. I did other things like that, and I think I was just in such a bad place that my behavior was coming off as personal, and it really had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with me just trying to figure out a way out. Being that, a friend or a person who came to the property or got associated with me, they said they saw me on this farm. They saw I was not a farmhand. They could clearly tell I was from California by my accent. And they're like, "What's your deal, man? None of this makes sense. You're on this huge farm by yourself. The owners aren't here. You're clearly not a farmhand. Like, what are you doing here?" And so one of the things is I was dealing with a stalker situation and I was dealing with th death threats at the time. And so one of the agreements was that I wouldn't tell anybody where I was. I wouldn't tell anybody really what I did in that community or that area to bring any more drama upon myself. So I lied to this person. Because I have multiple monitors and I have all this camera equipment and stuff to do these videos, which also I was accused of only needing for trading and that you don't need it um, for ministry. That's not true. For me, I need these. If you could see, if there was a way for me to show you, I'll take a screenshot and I'll post it afterwards of how I use these screens and why I need multiple screens. So you can see how I use them and why they're important for me to have them all. But I was accused that the only reason I would need multiple screens is only stock trading and crypto trading and not for ministry. That's not true. I could do a lot less screens for trading. But when the person saw my display in the office that I was in at the farm, I had a couple of choices. I could tell them the truth, which was kind of agreed upon that it wasn't going to be the case. I wasn't going to be telling the people the truth that basically I was living off of ministry and so on and so forth. And also, it wasn't good for my mentality. I know that's not a good reason, but I was not, I had just come from basically being a billionaire on paper. I had just had my RV crash, and now I'm going to tell this guy I'm just a farm boy. I don't even know what I'm doing. I've only driven a tractor maybe once or twice in my life, and I'm a total joke. I wasn't going to tell him that. And that's how I felt. So the only thing I could tell him that made sense, that I could back up a story that I could continue to talk to, was I told him I was a day trader, that I traded crypto and I traded stocks. But it wasn't true because I had no money. But it was a way for me to just get him out of my face, get the conversation away from me as much as I possibly could so I wouldn't feel like blowing my brains out. Telling you the God honest truth. I was just trying to dilute the poison of the situation in my experience. Like I just needed this to go away. So I said, I'm a day trader. And that's what this monitor is for. And it just helped it. So it wasn't, I didn't have to talk about ministry. I didn't have to worry about getting blackmailed because I've been blackmailed like really horrifically 3 times. This page has actually been stolen. Some of you have been around for it, all that type of stuff, right? So I did. I told him I was a day trader. And then since I told him that, I figured, well, I guess I'm going to stick with that because then that way he doesn't come to the house sometime or farm sometime and he's like, oh, Nathan's a day trader. And the other person's like, oh, he told me he was, I don't know, a toilet scrubber. I don't know, whatever, right? So I was like, well, just make it the same lie and tell everybody. So it perpetuated. It went forward. And then there's another thing which I have told you guys about on videos. I've come on and I've talked about stocks. I've talked about how I watch stocks every single morning to this day. And if you don't know why I watch stocks, right? I started watching stocks in 2004 after I was homeless in the desert, after my fiance and all that story. If you know, you can go to Truth Me Free on YouTube and hear my whole story. After that situation, I ended up going to work at a venture capital firm. And the minimum investment at this venture capital firm was about 15 to $25 million. I worked at this firm, and in 2 years, I went from not knowing really anything about that world, stock market, Wall Street. I didn't know anything about it, but the owner was my friend. I'd helped him in a bind when I ran the nightclub in Beverly Hills, and he taught me all about this stuff. And so I made $2.4 million in 2 years. In 2 years, between the age of 24 and 26, I went from being homeless in my car where my friend found me and bought me top ramen for my birthday. And then I went to making, I didn't ever go on a date. I never saw a movie. I ate out of the gas station card that I had for the company. I didn't have a meal. I slept on a cot. I didn't have a home. I didn't have a place to live. I slept either in the office or I slept in this rich man's library on a military cot. So that was my 2 years. And in those 2 years, I had zero expenses. I had zero life. I had no dating, no girlfriend, no entertainment whatsoever. And again, I ate most of my meals from a gas station because the company gave me a company car and it gave me a gas card. So I bought my meals with the gas card and I ended up making $2.4 million. So you could say I was really good at what I did. And then right at the end of that 2 year period, the company was hostily taken over. And I did get a little bit of money, but I never got like my first official chunk of that. And I was so brutally just distraught. I was back to basically almost being homeless again. And after spending 2 years of giving my life to that, I needed some time off. I felt like God kicked me in the balls again. And this was after I became a believer. So I took what money I had and I moved to Oregon to go visit my mom. That was when she needed me and headbutted me. She needed me in the balls and headbutted me. And I liked Oregon a lot. And a friend of mine from high school just happened to live there. So I lived with him for a year and then I made a movie while I was up there. And it was just me trying to like save my sanity, right? And then after that, I moved back down to LA, met up with some of my friends who became famous. One of them was Dane Cook, Jay Davis, Joe Coy. You guys might know some of these names that are all over Netflix. Sebastian, Daniel Tosh. I don't normally name drop, but in this video, you're going to get the whole story. You're going to understand why my fall from has been so brutal and why I haven't maybe dealt with it right and why I lied to this guy about trading. It's rooted in the fact that, when people are doing better than you or they give you money, they love to make sure you know that they're better than you. They love it. They love to make sure that you know that you won't have your lifestyle without them. And you've heard me make many videos. You've heard me get on here and say, I feel beholden to you. You've heard me show and display how much asking for donation kills my soul. None of that is a lie. So I am not out here, uh, you know, hunter biting you. I'm not out here taking your money and taking it to the clubs and the strippers and the prostitutes and drugs, sex, and rock and roll. I'm not doing that with it. So I am trying to invest it and I am trying to make it go further so that I never ask you for another donation ever again. And if you think that I'm lying about that, then you're right. You shouldn't be here and I probably shouldn't be here if you think I'm lying about that. But yeah, so I wanted to day trade. I still want to day trade because, and here's why. Not only did I make $2.4 million between the age of 24 to 26, which was a long time ago, and I'm quite old now, and I still watch the stocks every day since. So I do think I'd be quite good at it. I do think that I could make a booty ton of money and I would be able to finance a building for this ministry. I think I'd be able to finance all these things. Now, some of the people who are hearing me talk this way are thinking there's another one of his pipe dreams. Here's another one of his big ideas to be rich or famous or something like that. I don't want to ever deal with another employee, and no offense to anybody, especially this young generation, with all these HR rules and verbiage and terms and COVID shots and all that type of stuff. I will never get back into that again. I just don't have it in me, guys. I gave 16 years of my life to building up my big business, and then I lost it all. Basically, at the end of the day, it was because of COVID, and it was because of the manufacturer in Estonia. So, um, it's something I can do from home. I can do it for a few minutes a day, a few hours a day, make a living, and then I can do ministry. So that's it. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's a pipe dream. I'm not saying I'm going to be rich and buy Lambos with it. I'm saying I'm going to build a building with it. I'm saying you guys are going to stop donating to me ever again. So that's my intent. It's always been my intent, and I am being honest with you. And maybe I should have been honest with you about that before, but I was filled with shame. I'm the guy who lost $1 billion company. I'm the guy who crashed his motorhome that you donated for in the middle of the night. I'm the guy who you gave money to multiple times for a website that never got built. I did give like $3,000 to somebody to build the website for me. And as soon as they got like 80% done, they then asked me to give them $20,000 and they blackmailed me. And then I felt bad about talking about that publicly because it was one of you who referred this person to me. And I didn't want to make you feel bad, the person who referred them. I didn't want anybody to think that this was I was trying to go public and shaming you. I didn't want you to be like, "Oh my God, I feel so bad. I was the person who brought that to Nathan and then now he raised money and then I gave it to this guy. I didn't know this person would do that to him." And then I tried to make the website and then I didn't have I just wasn't mentally there. And if you go back to those videos, I said that. I told you guys, I stare at the wall because I'm so unbelievably depressed. And you're like, oh, well, get better. I couldn't. I wanted to kill myself. I didn't see any reason for me to be alive other than this ministry. I saw it as God hates me and he was picking on me, and I was just getting constantly, perpetually punched in the balls by him. And I was having the rug pulled out from underneath me. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, that's because you're a pipe dreamer. That's because you're an exaggerator. You're lying about these things. So we're going to address all this, right? But I hope that you could understand that you are talking to somebody who, if he wanted to, change his moral compass. I could leave this ministry today. I could immediately move back to Los Angeles, and I could immediately start working on making myself a millionaire again in a shady way, right? And you're going to hear testimony from other people today to speak to that. So it's not just this guy, of course, thinks he's the bee's knees in that regard. I'm not doing that. Instead, I stay and I Uber every month and I Uber every weekend and I try to make my living doing something that pays me about $22 an hour when I was used to making about $500 an hour. So if you can't understand why I wake up every day and some person gets in my car and I'm driving them around in Uber and I hope they give me a $5 tip so I can afford maybe the type of cereal I want, right? If you can't understand why I want to, not be here anymore, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's an invalid reality I live in for me to tell somebody I don't want to get into it with you why I'm living on this farm, even though I have no experience. I don't want to go into it, and also I don't want to involve the farm owners, because now they have to explain the story. I don't want to have to do all that, so I'll just lie and I'll make this as easy as possible, and I'll just make my life as just get away from me and just let me wake up every day and survive to the next day. That's what I want. And I'm sorry, that's not good for the ministry. I've hurt this ministry because of that. It sparked and fueled a horrific lie about me. And it is true I want to, but it's not true that I've been doing that. I have made investments and I have lost investments, not day trades. I legally cannot day trade. I have made investments and I lost. I lost the money that was given me to specifically put into crypto. I lost. I already admitted that. But I also have made money and it saved my butt. And it made it so I didn't have to get on here and say, hey guys, I need money. And you need money to do that. So there were times like when I sold my motorcycle. Anybody noticed I don't have my motorcycle anymore? Right. So I would do things that wasn't always your money, but I would sometimes use your money. For instance, I would say, hey guys, I need money for rent. And this is truth. I'm telling you the truth. If you can't tell, I'm totally downloading all the truth on you right here, right? There are times, more often than not, actually, there are times when my bills start coming in the month and I realize if I Uber as much as Uber allows me to, I'm only allowed to Uber 12 hours out of the day. If I Uber as much as I possibly can, I'm not going to pay these bills. I'm not going to get in on time. My car will get repoed. My insurance won't go through. My rent won't get paid, whatever, right? My bills won't get paid. I racked up over $40,000 worth of debt, not including my car payment. So I had over $40,000 on credit cards because I was buying end time supplies. I was trying to, I bought a whole bunch of electric tools, which I still have with me. I took them with me from the farm. I bought a whole bunch of electric tools. I bought a whole bunch of like med kit stuff and axes and knives. And I did buy that stuff over periods of time. And I also got into a debt which I never owned. My first credit card I got when I was in the RV. I never had a credit card my entire life. True story. I got my first credit card when I was in the RV, and my credit started, to go up, and I thought I was doing pretty good. And then I started to get in debt that I couldn't pay, and then the farm I had to move out, and then now I have rent, and then people who said they would give me money for a year to help pay my rent, they gave it to me for like 2 to 3 months, and then they stopped giving it to me. So there was a portion of my rent that was covered, and then there was a portion of my rent that wasn't. And then there was a portion of my rent that wasn't covered at all because the time frame that somebody agreed to pay my rent, they stopped paying. And lucky for me, I was able to sell the Soraya for 25,000, and that person switched out for the first person, and I was able to pay my rent with the sell of Soraya. But at the end of the day, I have nothing to show for it, except for the fact that I got to live in a place for a year. So in a way, I totally got my own balls kicked in that deal as well. So so when these things happen, I still need them all the other bills paid and stuff like that. The point is that what would happen is I would open a credit card and immediately pay down or use it to pay off other credit. I know nobody else on earth has ever done that, but that is what I did do. And I did end up actually having more credit card bills than I actually had in like rent. So yeah, I dug myself into a massive hole. I have recently out of almost I got out about 90%, 80% of that hole by the grace of you guys, right? And Ubering, to be honest, that did also play a role because I was paying those bills before I ever, took some help from you guys. But yeah, I did. My bills are significantly reduced, but it doesn't mean that they're small. I still have a lot. So I still get in trouble and I've had health issues and my car really was in the shop for 5 months. And as a person who Ubers and I really didn't have a job that I could do and so on and so forth. So I hope you understand. Like, I understand it all looks shady. I understand that it doesn't add up. And what I was trying to confess to was there were times where I would be like, hey guys, I'm not going to make rent. And you guys would raise rent or you'd raise my rent. Somebody would donate, they'd cover my rent. But when it entered into my account was negative because another bill got automatically withdrawn. And the truth of the matter is I still couldn't make rent. So, and that happens all the time for me. And because I need to have things on automatic withdrawal because I'm just like, that's just how it's got to be. I just like, I don't want to be late with bills. I'm late with bills all the time. So that's how it is. And things would get pulled and then I wouldn't have enough still. So then I had a choice. I get back on and I say, sorry, I need money again. That to me would seem super shady. Or I had a chance, if I had one or two trades legally allowed to be made in the week, I might make a trade, hopefully making enough to pay my bills. And sometimes it worked. So I didn't have to get back on and say, sometimes I lost more. And then I just have to be late with the bill, or I'd have to go triple time on Ubering. And honestly, if you go back in this ministry, you'll kind of know when I did good or when I was doing bad, not because of how much I asked, but how much I was posting. I can't post if I'm in an Uber. I can't post if I'm on the road. And in Uber, it's back to back to back to back rides. So if you want to know, is Nathan doing good in Uber driving? You won't see a lot of posts on this. That's how you know if I'm doing good in Uber driving. So so this is all like me. Again, I'm just trying to be super, super clear about this, right? I really, really hope that, you know, not that it makes it right. It doesn't make it right, guys. I'm not saying that anything I've done is right. I'm just trying to clear the air. So the money you gave me for the website, specifically the website, I do feel really bad about, but I've been open about that. I did tell you I bought those programs and then they got outdated, so I needed to buy them again. And then I paid that guy $3,000. And then I paid him monthly, by the way, on top of that $3,000 to keep him working, right? The 3,000 was the down payment. So and then he blackmailed me. And then, yeah, we have nothing to show for it. And some of you are real bitter about the website. I get it. But who do you think is more bitter, you or me? Who's the one that had to get on the internet and ask for help time and time again? Who's the one who already feels beholden to people? So, as much as you feel that I am a shady person and I'm doing something nefarious with the money you're giving me, how do you think I feel knowing that you're thinking that? Right? How do you think I feel? Why, I would totally, totally understand if you saw me. I know you don't see, but I mean, you guys have met me at the meetup. You see my Uber thing in the window. You see my Uber light in the window. You see the car I have. I've been transparent with you. I told you I traded in the truck. I have the exact same payment for the caddy that I drive, and it's a nice caddy. And I wanted to do Uber Black, but by the time I got around to doing the Uber Black, the year switched and they lowered the year because it was 1 year older and I was 1 year off of being able to do Uber Black. So, I paid for the Uber Black even. And then they changed the freaking thing. And this is exactly what causes people to think I'm lying. They're like, man, that happens every time. You're doing a thing and then a thing happens and the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. It happens too much for you to be honest. It happens too much for this to be a real thing. I understand that more than you know because that type of bad luck, that bad timing, that bad situation has happened my whole life. And that is what this video is actually going to address so that you guys all understand I'm aware of it. I should have addressed it. I should have been completely honest with you the whole time. But I'm going to also be honest with you now because while we're airing things out, I'm going to be I'm saying honest. Of course, I'm being honest with you. My rent here is almost $3,000. When I got this place, I had brothers and sisters here at Yeshua Network who were helping me with my resume. They saw my resume. They helped me write my resume. They helped me write a letter of recommendation or like, the letter, the cover letter. They helped me with all these things. And they're like, you'll easily get a job for like 125,000 once you put yourself out there in the market. You have a resume like nobody. Your resume is like nothing anybody's ever seen. You should easily be able to get a job making 125,000 a year. And I thought I would. And I put it out there and I put it on Indeed and I put it on Monster with their help. And I never so much as got an email back from anybody. I think it has to do with the fact that my entire career has been an entrepreneur and a CEO, and people are looking for somebody to play like, a role that doesn't threaten them. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm assuming. Because again, the resume was built by people who do that commercial, what's it called? Corporate world, right? They helped me put it together. It wasn't that I just saw it off the internet or something, right? So I didn't get a job. So I started Ubering. And that was the reason I got the car I had, because I had a feeling, my luck, I'm going to need to have a backup plan. And so I got the car that I got. It's a hybrid. It gets 54 miles to the gallon, thank God, because if it didn't, I would be making significantly less than 22 bucks an hour, 25 bucks an hour on my really good days when I get tips like a Friday night, Saturday night, right? So I do have a very high rent. And you're thinking, well, why don't you move? I don't have the money for first and last month's rent. I don't also I had a cosigner when I first moved in, and by the grace of God, the, at the time when the first year there was somebody paying my rent, right? That was my first year, somebody admitted and agreed to paying my rent. So I paid all my rent on time for the first year. So when my next year came up, they agreed to take my cosigner off. And that was a good thing because there was kind of a complication with the co-signing thing. So it was really a blessing for them. It was a blessing for me to no longer be that burden to them. And they got off. And then I was able to get my own self on the by myself on this place because I wouldn't have gotten the place. Remember, I've been doing ministry since 2019. I have no job. I have no paycheck. I have no normal income or anything like that. I don't have a pay stubs to show anybody that I could pay rent. So, and it is, and my credit's totally trashed now. So I am the worst person to go and try to get a place to rent, right? So so I got off the person, the cosigner for this place, and then I wasn't able to pay rent really too much anymore because at that point I lost some donors, which had to do, I'm learning now, even at that time had to do with I did lose a few people who were bigger donors because of this rumor that's going around or this idea that I was basically trading all the money away. And I didn't tell anybody that. I may have actually mentioned that even in a couple of videos saying, we've lost some donors and some people have gone away. I don't know what's going on. Somebody please talk to me, right? So I do think I have videos where I did kind of mention that. So again, if you go back to those videos, not that you're going to go through and scrape through them, but if you guys can remember, if you've been around, you should remember me saying this kind of stuff to you. But I'm not going to go on and be like, hey, I need 1,000 other people to step up. I was really hoping I would Uber and be able to make it on my own. But having my car in the shop for 5 months, and people were like, well, you should sell your car. I didn't even have it to sell. It was in the shop. So it wouldn't get back to me because they had it taken apart and because of the whole battery. It was a battery computer thing. And I guess there was only like two guys or two people in all of Tennessee that could work on this particular thing. That's why it was in the shop so long. Again, what are the odds of that, right? It's an impossibility, but not for me. I expect it. I expect it now. So all this stuff, I know I've been rambling, but I feel like I'm bringing you up to speed. I feel like just in this bit here, right? That you hopefully have an understanding of how the things that look shady were indeed a bit shady, but not shady in the degree that you were told, right? Not to the degree and the intent in which the gossip that reached you was, right? So I apologize again. I am admitting my wrongs. I admitted I lied. I admit I perpetuated lies. I kept them going. I admitted there was a time too that I do want to confess this because I know God is watching me right now. I know He's here with me right now. There was a time I feel really bad about. And a sister brought it to my attention because she was the one that I interacted with in this event. I believe if my memory serves me correctly, I want to add that for, the testimony before God. I believe I was leaving Alex's house and I was in a lot of pain. I think this was like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Um, it might have been like it was longer than 2 years ago, maybe. But I was leaving Alex's house, heading home, and I was going to go to the hospital. I think I either texted, I'm in the hospital or I'm going to the hospital. And I ended up going to the hospital or I was driving to the hospital, but I was having a PTSD moment of when I went to the hospital and they wouldn't help me at all because they said I was a pain seeker because of my kidney stone. They didn't believe me and that was the day I found out I had diverticulitis because I pooped blood and that was how we found out. And then I went to another hospital and they were like, "Oh, you have this thing called diverticulitis. You have a hole in your intestine." This was like, "Oh, great." So I had that happening. That was that day. And I was so psychologically messed up about that while I was already psychologically messed up about everything else in my life that I just didn't I just didn't want to go to the hospital and be accused of being a pain seeker again. And so I think I went home. And that person reached out to me and said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm all right." And they're like, "Are you at the hospital?" I said, "No, I'm at home." And they're like, "Well, didn't you just tell everybody you're at the hospital?" So that looks really bad because that also would make it look like I was like telling you guys I was going to the hospital to manipulate you, to pull your heartstrings, to get you to give me a donation or something. And in reality, I didn't. And I think the way that that got told to some of you, I know that it got told to some of you, um, I think the way that that got told to some of you is that I would do that. Like I would say, "Oh, I'm hurting. My car's in the shop. My tire got a flat tire." Like I wish I could take my big camera and I could show you my car because right now I have a tire issue again, right? Like I wish I could show you, and it'll probably cost me like $250 to pay. Don't send me money for that. Literally, don't send me money for that. I will Uber that and fix it myself. But my point is to say is that the thing I think was being taught or said was that I will come up with something. And I think the feeling was is that I am out there like living it up, or I'm kicking up my feet, or I don't know, I don't think anybody was perpetuating the story like I was, Hunter Biden, but but I had maybe that intent or that energy or that heart behind it, right? But that's not the case, guys. I've had so many issues. I've had so much bad luck. I've had so many health issues. I really do have a marble-sized kidney stone. It's about this big for reference. It's about that big. That's how big the kidney stone is in my kidney right now. That's not a lie. So, and it does hurt and like crazy. And I did rip my skeletal tissue, and I was going to a chiropractor twice a week. I stopped going to him because it's it's gotten so bad it doesn't really help it anymore. The thing I told you guys about the BPC 15157 or something like that, it's the only thing that helps. So, and one of you bought me a month's supply. So that's why I'm able to talk with you right now. So anyways, so these things add up, right? You see these things, you find out that I told this guy and other people in local, not on ministry, but local people I just didn't want to go into my story with because I was so psychologically damaged. And then you hear that I'm telling people that. And then you see that I'm constantly asking for help and that I'm constantly having these bad things happen to me. Let's face it, guys, it makes total sense for anybody to assume something nefarious is going on. I don't judge them for that. The only thing that breaks my heart is they didn't go, let's sit down. I heard you were telling people around town this. I heard you were doing this with people, and I'm keep seeing that you keep asking for this money and you keep having these negative things happen to you. Like, is this really what's going on? And nobody did that. And I feel like I feel like I could have made this video a lot earlier if I felt like I had that kind of support. If I felt like I had somebody who, not necessarily called me out on my junk, but like said, "Why are you telling these people that? We know that you're not day trading, or we know you don't have 25K." Maybe they didn't know about the pattern day trading law of the United States. So maybe they thought I was. So they couldn't say to their hearts, "I know he's not day trading. He doesn't have 25,000 plus dollars." Mind you, you have to have over $25,000. You really need about $40,000 to day trade. So even if I save $25,000, it's not enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? So my point is like that's the thing that like as much as you might be heartbroken because I have lied, because I did start my own stupid rumor, because you heard the rumor and it got back to you, as much as you might be heartbroken, I'm also heartbroken that nobody came to me. And that's what the devil does. That's what the enemy does. That's what the flesh does. That's what the human nature does, right? That's why we have to sacrifice our flesh. We have to pin it to the cross. We have to deny our flesh, and we have to choose what God wants us to do. We have to choose what is right. We have to choose what is humiliating. We have to put ourselves on that cross. We have to put ourselves in that shame, and we have to say, "Guys, all right, I'm just going to tell people I'm going to deal with the stalker. I'm going to deal with the Muslims who want to kill me. I'm going to deal with this stuff because that's the truth. And never mind that I'm mentally broken and, it's not my place to choose when I get to lie. It's not. I'm not being facetious. I'm saying it's not. I need to be telling the truth off camera. I feel like other than that thing, that's why I brought it up where I said I went to the hospital and I didn't. I genuinely cannot think of anything even remotely like that. Um, and I feel super horrible about that because I feel very good about all the things I've said in video, and I feel like I will be okay standing before God about all the things I've said on video in this ministry. I feel very good about that. So, but that I feel horrible about letting you guys know. All right, so that all said, I'm going to tell a quick story. If you guys want to jump ship from this video now, um, I understand. I'm going to tell a quick story because it ties in to, um, give me 1 second. It's my friend who I'm going to bring on. Okay. Um, I'm going to give a little story that many of you have already heard, but again, I want this video to be shared in the future with anybody who sees my life as kind of weird. My bad luck seems a little bit too much bad luck. My situation seems to be a little bit too shady. I want people to have this video. I want to tell the story of God's chosen men and the porn laptop again. I know you guys already know it, but I think it's important to mention in this because of what's about to happen after I tell you. After I came back from Oregon after shooting that movie, after I was working for the venture capital and made that 2.4 million that I lost, not due to me, the company was hostilely taken over, and it has nothing to do with me at all. I didn't make any mistakes. I didn't make any bad trades, nothing like that. The company was hostilely taken over, and because of SEC laws, I had certain class shares that you are not allowed to cash until 2 years. And so my very first chunk of shares that I could liquidate was coming on the like 19th, and then the company was hostily taken over on like the 6th, and all my shares and everything just tanked, and I lost everything. Like really, I did have something that I could go to Bend, Oregon with, and I could make that movie and live off. I didn't have to work while I was in Bend. I went back down to LA. I didn't have to work, or at least for like a couple months. So I had enough to do that with. So I'm not trying to say like, I didn't have anything. I had money. There was money that I had in my pocket. So when I moved back to LA, I opened up my acting school. I got a job at Marie Callender's. Sometimes you guys hear me talk about when I worked at Marie Callender's. This was that moment. I worked at Marie Callender's to have a little bit of money in my pocket and to also help myself get rent. I met up with a friend from high school. He let me rent out a room from him, and that was when I started my acting school, and that was when I met up with my friend Dane Cook and Jay Davis and all those other guys you now see on Netflix. And I started doing promotions at the clubs, and I started doing what's called product placement for the Oscars, the Emmys and Grammys and stuff. And I started helping produce comedy shows for the biggest names in the world: Dave Chappelle, Dane Cook, Sebastian, Joe Coy, Daniel Tosh, the biggest names in the world. I was producing shows 3 times a week, 3 comedy shows a week, for the biggest stars. And I was doing good. Everything was fine. And then I opened up my acting school, and then I ended up getting a total of about 450 acting students. So I was doing okay. I wasn't rich by any means, especially since a lot of my students were on scholarship, meaning I was paying them out of my money. Um, so, and then it was at that time that I was invited to this group of 4 men in this one guy's little tiny studio. We basically all sat on a chair next to his bed, and we kind of all started this thing. I wasn't an originator. There was 3 other guys before me, but I was like the fourth, fifth person. And we started this thing called God's Chosen Men. And that ended up leading to the wonderful story you know about God's Chosen Men. I won't get into that. And that ended up leading to my apartment I ended up having, which had two bedrooms. That ended up with me hosting it because I had more space in this apartment. And then the guy who was supposed to take it over, the guy who ran it went to go work on TV with a gentleman named Irvin Baxter. Some of you know about my relationship with Irvin Baxter. You know that Irvin was actually the gentleman who I guess officially ordained me into his ministry because he said that he ordained me in his ministry and sent people to me to teach about end times. Um, and then, um, and then I also went to Washington, D.C. and did some things there, like kind of on his behalf or based on his ministry, I should say. And then I came back to LA and we were doing God's Chosen Men and everything was rocking and rolling. And there was like 80 guys. It was unbelievable. Most biblical, like Book of Acts thing I've ever seen in my life. So you guys know all that story. And then I felt really guilty because there was a guy, we're always out there meeting guys, right? Whether we bump into him or whatnot. And there was a guy, his name was Keith, and he was living in the bus behind a comedy club in LA. He talked to the comedy club owner. The bus was empty. They weren't using it. And so they allowed him to sleep in there. So he had shelter. And he was sleeping in the bus and he was asking everybody at the God's Chosen Men if anybody knew a place where he could crash. And I had my extra room open. And then I had, of course, my couch. And it wasn't a nice apartment. guys, if you remember, I left my front door open and anybody could come in and out. If they stole anything, it wasn't worth a penny. I always had my laptop with me, except for the one with porn on it. And and so it was like nothing, they couldn't steal anything. I even my pots and pans were like the pots and pans you get for like $5 for a set. Like it was the cheapest, most horrible stuff, right? So if they stole, it was great. So, anyways, I invite him to come live with me. He stays in the other room. I was always having somebody on my couch after that, or somebody would be on my couch. The person in the room would move out, and then that person would get the bedroom, and then the next person would get the couch. So I always had basically my house was like it was like Hotel California, we called it. It was just always people coming and going, and there was always somebody living with me because I felt, well, if the Lord gave me a place, if there's a roof over my head, and there's room for me to bless somebody, I'll bless them. And this is important because this leads to where I am and the choices I'm making today. So you may think that this has nothing to do with today in this video. You're totally wrong. The whole reason why you guys are might be perceiving that my story is super shady, why there's something amiss, why it seems like I have this really bad luck, and it just seems like I'm not telling everything, right? I know there's a lot of you that have that. Please roll with me. Please don't log off this video, or at least come back and watch the rest, because you're going to understand something very important about all that. Okay. So I have these people staying in. I have my girlfriend. She ends up moving in with us. We're living there. Everything is great. I'm rocking and rolling. I'm doing the Oscars. I'm doing the Emmys. I'm doing the Grammys. I got every one of the hottest nightclubs in LA to Vegas. I'm doing the grand opening from Nikki Beach in Vegas at Tropicana. I mean, I have pictures of all this stuff, the celebrities. I mean, I was the guy. I ran this stuff. I did this stuff. I promoted this stuff. So I could go anywhere in LA, a restaurant, I could go to a nightclub. I got free drinks. I never had to pay for alcohol. I never had to pay for food. I was killing it. I was making money from sending people to these places. I was making money from my comedy shows. I was making money from my acting school. And by the way, my acting school was a movie studio that we had built sets on. And so when people came to learn at my class, they had multiple sets. We had a green screen and we had multiple cameras. And then I had these TVs hanging from the ceiling. And then we had kind of like a Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon type of audience where the students would sit in that audience, and then they would look at the monitors, and I would have all these different angles so the actor could really learn how to act for film and television. So, and I was taught by Oscar winners. If you don't know that, I'm not trying to boast. I'm trying to explain. I never advertised. It was all word of mouth. I started with one student. It turned into four. It turned into 12. It turned into 20, and it just grew from there. The guy who you're about to hear from, he was a person I met because one of my students, who was actually one of my good friends, a girl I kind of dated, he met her on a movie set. She was very, very attractive. He hit on her, and she's like, "You need to go to this guy Nathan's acting class. He will change your life." And so he went to the acting class basically to hit on her, but then me and him became friends. So at this point of the story, I'm actually going to bring him in, and I do want you guys to know there was a time with this gentleman when my alcohol company was doing very good. Me and him went to Texas, and it was right before we went to Texas that the gentleman who was living in the extra room, Keith, I had already basically done, like, I helped him, try to rehabilitate. He had a very bad drinking problem, like really bad. I tried to help him at least 5 times at this point, rehabilitate him, I got his mom involved, tried to get his parents, his sister involved, and we were really trying to get him cleaned up. And he was pissing in the corner of my room, in the corner of my living room. He would be walking around. He would walk up to me and my girlfriend while we're watching a movie and eating popcorn. We're by ourselves. He'd walk up and be like, "Yo, let's run a train on your girlfriend." And like, I'd want to punch him, but she's like, "He's in blackout. He doesn't know what he's doing." So there was all these things, like he was out of control. But one day, like when we were having, a ministry thing, he confessed to me that he had AIDS. And then I left to go to Texas. And then there was another guy who was basically homeless. I had met while I was in Bend, and he was living on my couch, and his name is Nathan. And the thing about them was I gave them jobs. I provided them food. They never had to pay for food. They didn't have to pay for rent. Like I took care of these guys, right? I totally, utterly took care of them. I did not make them feel beholden to me. They did not have to go out with me. But remember, by being my roommate, they could go into any nightclub. They could go to any event. They could go to red carpets. They did walk red carpets. They could be associated with some of the biggest names in the world. They could meet billionaires and all this stuff just by being associated with me, right? So I allowed them to stick around. Like I didn't be like, oh, this is my crony. I didn't say like, oh, this is my bee, the female dog, he's my little gopher boy. No, I never was like that to them. I would go to the bar myself and get drinks. I would go and bring drinks back to everybody else. I'm saying that because it's super important that you understand that these people were extremely like, loyal to me to a degree until the day that I submitted myself to a pastor and in LA. And then there came a day where that church needed a laptop. Sorry, I know you guys have heard this before, but it's important to hear again in this video. That pastor needed a laptop. And this guy named Mark, who was part of the God's Chosen Men core, it was actually originally at his house. The very first God's Chosen Men meeting with 3 people before I even got involved. It was his studio apartment. He did the sound at the church. He needed a laptop. So I went to my closet and I picked out this brick, this huge old school crazy brick of a laptop, and I just handed it to him. I didn't think about it for a second. I knew I hadn't used it in years. At this point, I was 27 years old. I think maybe the last time I realistically used it, I might have been 23. 23, I might have used it. But there was a whole bunch of porn on it from when I was like a teenager, like, early 20s. I'd say like even like 20, I think at the latest 20. Like I had a lot of porn on there. But I also had this other thing on there called Model Mayhem. And a lot of the models I found for real gigs that I was doing, that I was supporting, because I had the nightclub in Beverly Hills, and I also had a lot of people who needed girls for modeling gigs, model shoots and all this type of stuff. So I would go on this website called Model Mayhem, and I would be searching for girls that met that criteria. And so if you went onto this laptop, you would see nothing on it except for Model Mayhem searches and then porn. That was it. That's all you saw because that was the only business I used it for at the time. So I could imagine somebody had an absolutely crazy thing. When they saw that, they probably thought I was an absolute like an addict, crazy person. I totally get it. So Mark finds this on the laptop when he probably just put in W for the www dot. And then all my history comes up because I didn't even know about history on laptops at that time or computers at that time. He shows it to the pastor. And at the time, I had been kind of leading the charge with these men in this Bible study, like a core, not all of them. All of them were doing their own thing, but like there was a group of us, and I was really trying to lead the charge on like us being sexually moral for like a lot of the time, right? For like a nine month period. At least I was on like a 9 month run. And so a lot of the guys, they call me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, dude, my girlfriend's naked in bed. I'm in the bathroom. I'm pretending I have diarrhea. Like, I want to be good. I want to be right with the Lord. I want the miracles to keep flowing. I want the Holy Spirit to keep flowing. You gotta pray for me right now, man. And so I would have these calls almost every night because these guys that were in this, they were famous. Some of them were rock stars. Some of them were professional athletes. Some of them were models. These weren't dudes that had a hard time getting girls. These were guys who were batting them off. Like they had to have a stick because the women were throwing themselves at them, right? So the fact that these were the guys who we were like, let's be like sexually moral. Let's like no masturbation, no porn, no sex outside of marriage. Like it was a thing and it was hard and it hurt and it was painful. And if you're a guy, I know exactly what you're going through. And anybody else out there who knows what I'm talking about, yeah, it's not easy. It's devastatingly painful. It's a struggle. And you need brothers like that to rally and totally, stand beside you. So we did that for a good chunk of time. And even if we slipped up, we were still like, we might slip up 1, 2, 3 times over the course of like 3 months. But I mean, compared to what life in LA was like, we were absolutely on the saint level. Like it was pretty epic, unbelievably pure behavior. So my pastor gets in front of the church. Music is playing, people got their hands raised, and my pastor gets on the mic and he says, God is telling me you have a porn addiction and you need to address it. You're out of control. And I literally turn around because I'm like, which one of my boys is he talking about? Right. So, and I see all these guys and they're all looking at me. And I look back up and he literally points to me. He goes, no, I'm talking to you. Right. I was like, no, you're not. And he said these words, God told me you have a porn addiction. Don't lie. I know you do. And I looked at him. And so now the whole church is watching because he's super serious. He's got the mic. Basically, the music is like dropped down, like it's record scratch. Whole church is watching. 200 people are watching. Basically 80% of the boys from God's Chosen Men I had led, told him that I was being good. I look like the world's worst hypocrite in all of human history, right? Telling them that we were going to, I was being good, they're being good, we're doing good, everything is good. And then there's my pastor in front of everybody pointing at me. You have a porn addiction, and I know it. God said so. And I stand my ground. I kind of crack a smile because I'm thinking this has to be a joke. I thought for a second it was a test to see how I would respond, to see if I was going to be like officially made like second right-hand man of the church, right? Because I was kind of head of and in charge of college and career age, right? So, which was 80% of the entire church because it was God's chosen men was 80% of the church. So I'm like, no, that's not true. And he's like, you have an ego problem. You're out of control. I know you do. And I'm like, no, Pastor, I'm telling you, we've been as a body, like we've been fighting this. Like, I don't have that issue right now. I would tell you if I do. And then he kind of realizes, like, I'm really standing my ground. I'm not being overly aggressive. And so he's looking down at me like this. Hopefully you can see my eyes. And then he kind of looks up like this to the side, to the left, and he kind of looks a little scared. Like, am I making a big mistake in front of everybody? And I'm like, what is he looking at? And I look over my shoulder at what he's looking at, and I see Mark behind my laptop that I gave him about 2 weeks, a week before. And he's looking at the pastor. He looks at me, and then he kind of just sinks down below the laptop, like in shame. And I realized that God's name in this situation is named Mark, and the angel that delivered the message was my internet history. And so right then and there, he blasphemed and lied from the pulpit, saying that God told him, right, that I had a porn addiction, which I didn't. And it was such a horrific event. And he stood his ground and he mocked me in front of everybody, totally ripped me in front of everybody. I basically was like, of course, it was my word against his. Why would I admit in front of the whole church that I actually have a porn addiction, right? I would, though, if that was the case, like I'm doing with you today, right? And so um, I end up having to go home, and now I'm totally distraught. The boys hate me. Evil looks, nasty looks. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to hang out with me. The shunning has begun. The cold shoulder. The gossip has begun. The hate has begun. It's out of control. It's crazy. So I go home, and I'm already at this point. I'm financially struggling because it's like at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009. And all my students, well, not all, 80% of my students lost their job because of the 2008 crash. Because in LA, a lot of people, when you're an actor, basically the best job you can get in the 2008s, 2009s is being a bartender or a waiter. And they all lost their jobs because nobody was allowed to go out to the restaurants in LA. Anybody who's in the world today in 2005 knows that LA did a full-on crazy level, still even quasi-level shutdown to this day, right? From COVID or from 2008. And they do these shutdowns, and just, you know how they are. So my point is, sorry, this is 2008, it's not COVID, but you know from COVID that they do these shutdowns, and it's just how it is, right? So my my students can't afford to pay for their classes, but some of them are getting roles. Some of them are superheroes for Sony, right? Lead role superheroes in Sony. And so it's like, I'm like, dude, if you can just keep going, if you can get your money, and you want to throw me a bone for being your acting coach and they would admit that they would not have gotten the job without me, without my teaching. All my students were like, I only book roles when you coach me. I only land auditions when you coach me on the audition. So I was like, listen, we're all a family. If one of you makes it big, you get a $10 million job. You can throw a bone to this, school and keep it going, and we'll all keep going together as a big family. Like SNL or all that, any of those schools, right? They act like a family, and they all kind of perpetuate, and they all become famous together, right? So that's what we were planning. That's what we were talking about. So I spent my money, my savings, keeping the school open for the rest of the semester. I paid for all those tuitions because I still had the bills, but I only had like 10, 20% of the students paying the tuition. So I paid out of my own pocket. Why wouldn't I? I got God's chosen men. There's miracles being done every week. I'm head of the ministry, or at least college and career age at the church. I'm doing gift suites at the Oscars and Grammys and stuff. I got multiple events. All my friends are blowing up. They're starting to get Netflix deals. Like everything is good, or they're starting to get ready to do Netflix deals. Dane Cook is doing stadiums with this thing called Tourgasm. Like everything is blowing up, right? Like I'm thinking to myself, this is going to wash over. God's going to bless me because one, I was being a good boy. So, I was drinking at the time though, but we'll get into that story in a second. But I wasn't doing like coke. I wasn't banging chicks. It was like none of that stuff was happening, right? But I worked in the promotion, event production industry. I got drinks for free. And yeah, I would have a drink after a long day because I was basically working three jobs. So I end up paying for my students. It ends up causing the school to totally go bankrupt. I lost everything. I was supposed to be getting paid by the church, but they were financially struggling because none of the God's chosen men believed in tithing. They just don't give their money. And because some of them were celebrities and super rich and they weren't giving their money, the pastor got mad at me about that. He's like, well, that's your responsibility. You're supposed to like, push them to tithe. And I'm like, I don't believe in that. Well, that's a big struggle for a church building, right? And they're like, well, we built, and they did. They built like a bigger sanctuary to fit the 80 men that came from God's chosen men. They doubled the capacity of the entire church by bringing in God's chosen men. And so he now had this expense over his head. Well, one of them, who was a, a Grammy award winning musician, he ended up giving them the money they needed, but that didn't take me off the hook. So long story short, I wasn't getting paid for the ministry, and I was at church 7 days a week. 7 days a week I was at church. So I was a little pissed about that because I'm like, well, you're taking away from my other stuff and I'm not getting paid from you. And then the woman, the female version of me, she was my age, a little young, like 2, 3 years younger. She was dating the guy who originally lived in my apartment. I know this is a crazy long story, dude. I apologize, but trust me, this is needed. Okay. This is needed. Um, he was living in the apartment that I eventually moved into. He moved out to go take care of his daughter because she was starting to get into drugs and all that kind of stuff. She was a teenager. He wanted to make sure she was raised right. So he left LA, left God's chosen men. He wanted to be an actor, of course, and he was just like everybody else. He was dating this very beautiful woman. They both kind of found God together. He left, and then the pastor of the church kind of made her the female version of me. Yeah, this was a 501c church. So this was a real like church. It was part of a huge denomination. So me and her got close, not because I was trying to pursue her, but whenever there was a college and career age event or something happening within the church, it was me and her. She dealt with the women, I dealt with the men, right? So, and then she even started having God's chosen women at the apartment, but she owned the apartment. I rented from her. So she owned it. It was a duplex, and I was on the bottom stairs. Her grandmother was on the top stairs. So when I lost all my money from my acting school, and when I lost, and then like, because again, nobody like everybody stopped going out 2008, 2009. That was when like kind of all the going out, like Hollywood had its golden era between 2006 to 2009. It was like an amazing golden era. They call it the second golden era of Hollywood. And that was when I was just rocking and everything was great. But then 2008 crash happened, and I was also losing money and people weren't going out because they just didn't have the money. So I lost a lot of income there too. And there you have it. I couldn't pay my rent. Ministry wasn't getting ties. They weren't able to pay me. I was paying for my school so that the students wouldn't lose their teachings and have a chance of being success. I'm basically using up all my money. I literally get back into debt. So I was doing amazing. Now I'm in debt because I was too kind. I should have just cut the school loose. I should have bailed on everybody. I should have just tucked my money in. I should have invested my money. But I thought God was going to save me. I thought because I was holy rolling and doing so many good things, there's no way God's going to let me down. He sees my heart. He sees I'm helping other people. He'll help me. Nope. I became homeless again. After the pastor called me out in front of everybody, I was in so much shame. I was so heartbroken that God would abandon me, and that all my brothers, my closest brothers, and my first pastor would do that to me, that I got a pretty cold heart. And I jokingly say, but I think it's important to note, I went home that day after church and I spent 6 hours in front of porn. So after 9 months of just being epically good and working on it and struggling, and I was like, well, if I'm going to be accused of it and my life is going to be ruined for it, I might as well do it. So I just went to town for 6 hours, 9 months built up, man. I'm just confessing to you guys. I went to town and I was just like, and I'm like, screw it. I became homeless. I had to start carrying around this box that had my name on it. It was a cooler, and I ended up, trying to, I would put my food in bushes and all this type of stuff. And it was at this time, thank God, I had changed my businesses from being in kind of the event production to starting to own alcohol business. And it was a very good choice I made. But this is when it happened, and this kind of really pushed it. But I was homeless, and people didn't know I was homeless. So I had my suits in my car, and I had things like that, but nobody knew I was homeless. So this is where the story ends, and I'm going to bring in my friend Derek to hear the rest of the story. I hope he's listening, but I'm going to bring in my friend Derek, and we're going to tell the rest of the story together. At this point, I'm homeless. I lived in a shed for a little while, and then I was accused of I lived in a shed. I'm not talking about like it was made up as a room. I mean, there was a lawnmowers in it, there was weed whackers in it, there was more spiders than you could ever imagine, and there was a little tiny, again, military cot, and I lived and I slept in the on the military cot with spiders and bugs all over me every single night. And then I had a little tiny, like 2 by 2 foot square cooler that I had my food in. And basically, I always had peanut butter and jelly and bread and like some snacks, but like healthy snacks, something that like jerky or something, like some type of protein, right? And then I'd have these, I would go to the gas stations and I would fill these Ziploc bags with the ice from gas stations, and that was how my food didn't go spoiled. So this was how I survived. So when I say I was homeless, I mean I was homeless. But then my buddy Jay, um, who I helped literally helped save his marriage. I literally helped his career. Him and Dane Cook, I helped them big time. And then Jay lost his mind because he had a real porn addiction and he was not having sex with his wife because he was masturbating to porn so much. And he also had a video game addiction and he never would give his wife attention. He only gave his attention to his career and then he gave, which was comedy, and then he gave his attention to those other things. And so his wife was very attractive, a very sweet girl, and she ended up finding another man and she divorced Jay. And when she divorced him, he lost his mind, like for real. Like he was in the bushes stalking them, looking through the window, making sure that they were having sex, like all the things you shouldn't want to see. But he needed to see it. So he was at that level. Well, he came over and he was one of the ones who heard about me being a bad guy. He was part of God's chosen men. He was one of the founding brothers of God's chosen men. So he had this hate towards me. So he found out that my student, which was his one of my students, which was his cousin, was housing me in his shed, in his literal tool shed with tools and lawnmowers in it. And he said he is trying to get with your wife because or your fiance because his fiance was very beautiful. And he was like, he's trying to get with your fiance. You got to get this guy out of your house. You can't even let him around a little bit. And I don't know if you folks really understand this, but once you tell a man that you know that another man is trying to get with his woman, he can never unhear that. So at that point, I literally had to go live actually on the streets. And the one person in my life who would allow me to go to their house to shower so I didn't smell every day. And once in a while, he rented a room in an apartment. Once in a while, he would allow me to sleep like on the hidden side against the wall of his bed. Um, he would allow me to sleep so I would have a floor to sleep on instead of being out on the streets. That's the guy who's about to come in right now. And then we're going to tell the rest of the story. And the reason why I wanted to get to all this, and it was at that time, right, as I'm going away, as I'm doing all this, my girlfriend is back living with her parents, and she's having surgery because she has a thyroid issue. And then me and this gentleman who's going to get on the phone, we go to Texas to shoot his movie and also for me to expand the alcohol business that I was working on. Yes, while I'm homeless, I own this alcohol business. I just started, which everybody says I'm full of crap. How does this guy have an alcohol business when he's homeless? How does this guy have an alcohol business when he can't afford his rent anymore? Right? Oh, and there's another thing. When I was living in this apartment, um, with the girl who owned it, and she was like the female version of me in the ministry. Her ex-boyfriend was so pissed at me from the news and from all these other things. And, he was jealous. He still liked her, but he cheated on her all the time. And I want you guys to all know this because this also plays a major role in what's happening right now in my life with this event right now. So all these brothers who say they love me, you know, rallied behind me, stood by me, all this type of stuff. They say they love me. And then he ended up calling me on the phone and he just wanted to put the last nail in my coffin. And Michelle was the girl's name. Michelle found out that I couldn't pay rent. She was pissed because she's the one I pay my rent to. She's like, you can't pay rent, then you got to go. She's like, I don't know what to do because whether she would admit it today or not, Keith or somebody could verify, but we were talking about getting married and not even kissing each other until the pastor said, or the priest said, you may kiss the bride. That was going to be our first kiss. So we were talking about these things. And so it was kind of obvious that we had a relationship. We saw each other every day. We were hanging out. Everything ministry was the two of us. And she was like the most unbelievable demonstration of Christ on earth I'd ever seen. So yeah, I totally was pretty much crazy in love with her. But he calls me up. He's living in Boston and he just wants to fight. And so he's just like, I know you were going after her even when I was there, when I was living there. He's like, I knew you were going to go after her. I knew you were trying to get behind her, get my back and steal her from me and all this stuff. And I was like, I wouldn't do that. And again, I'm confessing all this because it plays into right now. And you may think this is like totally, we don't need to hear this. I think you do need to hear this because this is the type of stupid mistake I just made. This is something, one of the worst regrets I have in my life. He has me on the phone and he goes, I know you were going after her. And I was like, I would have never gone after her. She's not my type. And I started to describe parts of her and I started to be quite mean as I was, and I totally did. I was totally crazy in love with her, but it was not his business. He was in Boston. He wasn't even around. And I just didn't want to fight with him. Just like I didn't want to have to go through the story with the person who I said I'm a day trader to. I was just at such a negative, horrible, ready to blow my brains out place. I was just like, I just don't want to fight with you, man. I'm just going to confess, or I'm just going to man up to whatever it is and tell you something horrible. And just so we don't have this conversation anymore. So I told him, I was like, I'm not attracted to her. Look at her. She's this, she's that, this and that. Well, he was recording the conversation and he ended up playing that back to her. And you can imagine how hurt she was because I think she thought that we were going to be together. And I think she thought, which I really did, that I thought she was the most beautiful person in the world. And so he played that audio back to her where I said those really nasty, horrific things. And I didn't say them like she was a bad person. I just said, I wouldn't go after her because she's not my type, blank, blank, blank. And then he played that to her, and I can imagine how hurt she was. Meanwhile, one of the other brothers who was pursuing her the whole time ended up telling her that God said they were going to get married. I think she was so hurt, she believed it. She just wanted to believe it. And he was actually known as a pretty good guy. He was an artist. I don't know. There was something really strange about him to me, but he ended up telling her God told me. He told everybody God told me. They went immediately into counseling and they got married like a month later. Their marriage lasted a year. But God told them that they were supposed to get married. And of course, now he gives a testimony that she's the worst person on the planet. Well, I never saw anything she ever did, so I think he's just a liar. I don't think God told him he was supposed to marry her, all that kind of stuff, right? So everybody's just out there lying. Dominic's lying, the guy who was dating her before, he's lying. He was cheating on her all the time. And this is important for you guys to know. I could have literally shown her text messages. I could have literally shown, her audio that I had of him having a girl leave the house, the apartment, while he was dating her. This was when he lived in the apartment. He had multiple women he cheated on her with, and I had proof of it. And he didn't know I had proof of it. And I thought to myself, well, this guy just brought me to lie about how I felt about her. And I thought, well, I mean, I have truth on this guy. I did the lie. He used it against me. And I was just like, yeah, I could totally tell her and show her how he cheated. And then it's even Steven, right? Like if we're going to be confessing things, he should be confessing that he cheated on her, right? If everybody wants me to confess my dirt, he should be confessing his dirt, right? Like if this is the season of everybody come out with their dirt, everybody, let's get all of our sins out on the table. Everybody wanted me to get my sins out on the table. Everybody wanted me to get my dirt out there and admit I was wrong and I'm a bad man. But I wasn't going to own up to the fact that I had a porn addiction because I didn't. The porn was real on the webs on the computer, but it was from years ago. So and so I did have a thing that I was guilty of, but then it was blown up out of proportion. Same exact thing now. And I have unbelievable dirt on people. Dirt that would ruin marriages, kids would be taken away, people would lose their jobs. I'm talking horrible things on people I have proof of. Not I wouldn't even have to say. I could just post the proof on the internet and man, these people would be effed. People in this ministry, the same people who gossiped about me, the same people who said horrible lies about me and did not come to me. I could ruin them to an unbelievable degree. And I'm sharing that with you because I never told anybody about Dominic. And it haunted me and it ate me up because I was like, nobody knew what a good thing I did. Nobody knew how I showed reserve while I was homeless. Nobody knew what kind of self-control I kept while I had dirt on all those guys. Think about all those text messages and emails I got from those guys. I could have released all that to the body of Christ. I could have just blasted out emails. I had everybody's email. I had the whole church's email because of the position I had. I could have blasted everybody's dirty junk to everybody. But because I never even brought it up, I was only the bad guy. I never did anything good. Even to this day, recently, about 2 years ago, they did a 10-year reunion text message of the group, and I was in the group chat, and they just started trash talking me. They just started trash talking me. They didn't know I was in the chat. So I was just like, hey guys, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna leave the chat. I don't think this is the right place. And then when they were like, oh my God, he's in the chat, he's seen all this, and they just went to town on me. They had no holds bar. There was no remorse. Hey, brother, it's been 10 years. Let's repent. Let's get back. And the thing was, is they knew about Yeshua Network. They knew about Truth Me Free. They knew that I was still doing ministry. They weren't. I was. So, here I was saying that they were saying all these, I mean, everything just came right back. And it hurt me so bad for 3 days. I was literally in my room. I'm not exaggerating. I am telling you, as you can clearly see, a lot of truths today. It messed me up so bad, and I didn't know it would still mess me up that bad, that I started convulsing, like shaking. I had like seizures basically for 3 days, perpetual seizures for 3 days. I don't know what adrenaline, I don't know what it was, but it was such a horrific and painful thing. And this was that times 100 because it wasn't a one thing event with this event with us here at Yeshua Network. It was like multiple rumors over multiple years told from multiple people who I considered to be the closest people to me. And they probably considered me to be close to them, but I hurt them. So, should I do the tit for tat? Should I do the tit for tat? Should I literally say, well, if I should air out all my laundry, I should tell you guys every sin I have, and then let's just get everybody's dirt out there. Let's just get all of our sins out there. Like, you know what I mean? Let's just get right with God. Should we do that today? I bet you those people watching right now are crapping their pants. But I told you I wouldn't throw anybody under the bus. I told you I wouldn't throw mud on anybody, right? So if you got a rumor told to you, you know that they might be associated with one of these horrific things I listed, but you don't know who it was for sure. And you don't know what it was. But I will tell you this, every single one of those people who perpetuated some type of gossip about me or perpetuated this lie, I have proof of worse things that they did to you guys, said about you guys, participated in, or something like that. There was some type of behavior where they even asked me to lie on their behalf to you guys. So it's like there's all sorts of stuff that I could bring out. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to understand that I am not doing this video out of vengeance. I am not doing this to get back. If they want to come forward like I'm coming forward, then they should, because God's watching. God's watching me right now. And I know that he's watching me when I dealt with Dominic. And I know that he was watching me with all these other guys. I know he's watching Keith when I went to Texas with the guy I'm about to bring on. Poor guy, he's been waiting this whole time. I'm bring on him. And he told me he had AIDS. And then, the other guy, Nathan, who was sleeping on my couch, whose life I took care of these guys until I lost my own home. I took care of them. The jobs they had, the reputation they had, the contacts they had their whole world was from me, right? So let me bring on my friend, and then we'll continue the rest of the story, which will tie in. The rest of this is going to address what you see when you see my really bad luck. And you'll also understand why the people and God's chosen men in the church needed to tell lies about me, and why there were, I am validating. I am saying I understand why the gossip was in the head and in the heart about me. I get it. I did things and my life looked like it didn't add up. And I said things I shouldn't have said. I did things I shouldn't have done. Um, you know, um, I did trade when I shouldn't have, maybe. I did trade, it saved my butt. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that, to be honest. But I didn't trade it all away. I still have a roof over my head, right? And I do Uber. You guys have literally seen my car and you see me Ubering. So it's like, I don't know. My point is I'm going to bring on this guy, and then we're going to tell the rest of the story. And the rest of this story is so that you understand why my life looks this way. For the rest of this video, I want to just address why my life looks this way and why this happens. But you're not going to hear it from me, because of course I'm going to say all the things that might make me look kind of good. You're going to hear it from this guy, and he's going to give a testimony. And so while he's logging on, he is the gentleman who took me to the hospital on the day I flatlined. He was the gentleman who I made the movie with. We made multiple projects together. He was one of my acting students, and he's the person who's known me longer than anybody else. He was there when God's Chosen Men happened. He wasn't a quote unquote God's chosen man, but he was there, and he did attend my acting school. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce you to my friend, Mr. Derek. So Derek, you there?
Yo, what's up?
What's up, buddy? I know you don't have much time. I appreciate you, man. I just had to kind of set a nice foundation here. It went a lot longer than I thought. So I already told him who you were. You don't really need to do an intro. You guys, this is Derek. He's a good friend of mine. I've had people in my life tell me not to be friends with Derek. And he knows that, I mean, he knows everything about me, legitimately. He knows everything about me. He's been there. He knows. He was the guy who allowed me to shower at his apartment, and he would hide me from his roommate and allow me to sleep on the other side of his bed. That's who you're looking at right now when he talks. So, Derek, I'm just gonna ask you questions, bud, and then you can tell. They may not see you just because of how this is working. They might see you, but for sure they'll hear you. So,
For sure.
yeah, if you guys would, we're and Derek, please, try to keep the cursing. No, if he curses, guys, it's forgive us. This is the most probably adult, real conversation we're having here, right? So yeah, try not to curse and don't say any names if the person is associated with the ministry, right? If it's
For
somebody
sure.
else, and it's needed. All right. So Derek, you saw that my acting school was legit. Yeah. You saw
Yes.
the God's chosen men thing was legit.
Yes. I wasn't at the God's Chosen Men, but multiple people in LA that I was around heard talk about it. And specifically saying how, there was all kinds of miracles there until like everyone, it got to be the point. I remember them saying there was so many miracles that like a lot of things in LA, it became this like dog eat dog kind of thing of, oh, well, my miracles did this week. Oh, my miracles did this. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
all real. Nathan owned the vodka company from Estonia. How that really came to be was through a business associate of his. That story's crazy. It's all real. I was there in Addison, Texas, when a business partner of his tried to undercut him and sell the vodka company to a Mexican billionaire, and we were literally homeless in my Nissan Sentra. And yeah, it's all real. It's all real.
So
As
so
crazy as it sounds.
yeah. So you saw when I was dealing with the church, you saw that I was doing like the events and I mean, if you guys don't know, you can go to my LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn, Nathan Wheeler. You can see pictures of me at the Oscars. You can see pictures of me at the Grammys. You can see pictures of me with my drag car team. Did I have a drag car team, Derek?
Yeah, with Billy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw I saw the designs. I met Billy. Yeah,
Yeah. So Billy died of cancer, unfortunately, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago or
I
whatever.
didn't know that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I know. Great, great, great guy. That messed me up in the head pretty bad. That was like almost as bad as my brother. Um, so you at this acting school, right?
Hmm.
You were there towards the end, and then half of the acting school was acting class, and then the other half was what?
Bible study.
So is this whole thing with me doing ministry, is this a way for me to get famous, would you say? Because that's some
N- n-
people are
No, in
accusing me of
fact,
being.
no.
Mhm.
I remember specifically in Addison. So you let me have the bed. You were sleeping on the floor. Your Bible was on your cell phone, and you would sleep on it at night for like spiritual protection. And I
Still do.
remember I remember telling you to do a YouTube series on all this, and kind of like where I'm at right now, you were just kind of a coward, and you wouldn't do it. And it was only until you had the NDE and heart attack there at Cedar Sinai, which
Not a
by the
heart
way,
attack, flatline.
okay, flatline, whatever. But
Yeah.
I was there at Cedar Sinai. The nurses were visibly shaken. They specifically said how like without the use of a defibrillator, they'd never seen somebody come back on their own.
Hmm.
He was gone for like 90 seconds or something crazy, and they were like they like yeah they were shaking. It was wild.
Yeah.
So that all happened. I was there for all that. I'm
Okay.
not an active member of the Yeshua network. I support it. I work 6 days a week. I'm fighting like a lot of Americans just to keep my job, keep food on the table. So I don't even know what's going on here as far as the infighting and whatnot. I will say though, this is kind of something that frankly is keeping me away from the church and just Christians overall.
Hmm.
Is guys, we have like Bill Gates and people literally like COVID. Look at COVID. They literally poisoned us. And you're going after Nathan? Like whatever you think about Nathan, good or bad, this dude legitimately loves Jesus, knows a lot about Jesus. And even if you don't, even if you think he's a charlatan, is he still feeding onto you? Is he still giving you knowledge you didn't have before? Absolutely. I mean, compared to Bill Gates, compared to the globalists, compared to all these people poisoning us, glyphosate is measurable in the air. Like I work in this industry, in the health industry, every day. I'm dealing with people who are suicidal because they're so sick. No
Right.
matter what you think of Nathan, like in the grand scheme of humans, like where do you think he ranks on there? Even if he is like, whatever you think he's doing. And I mean, like this is what we do as Christians, right? Is that we just tear down each other Meanwhile, the globalists and all these people who are non-believers go and invent cool things, and we just sit by idly. And oh man, look at those guys creating AI, creating X, doing all these cool things. Woe is us. And meanwhile, we don't do jack diddly squat, and
Okay,
we
hold on.
just
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. You only have so much time. I love the rant. I love it. You know me, I'm about rants. But
Well,
this
no,
is
I'm good. I just have to. I'm on the road now, so that's why I'm not home. But yeah, I
okay.
have like 20 minutes here.
Okay. But here's the thing. Okay, so let's get to some things though, because what I really want them to do is I want to talk about how when I first met you, Derek, you were an acting student of mine. Yeah?
Yeah,
That's how we
yeah,
met. Okay, then
yeah,
you asked me to be part of a movie.
yeah. And I offered you.
Hold on, not yet. Don't get to that. Let me lead because we'll get through it much faster.
Okay.
You asked me to help you with your film.
Yes.
Did I help you? Did I hesitate?
No, no,
Did I make you jump through hoops and treat me like I was a cool guy or something like that?
no, no,
Okay, so I just helped you, and did I ask for anything?
no. And I tried to give you something percentage of it, and yeah, it's gonna sound so
So
crazy.
wait, listen to this part right here, guys. This is important to hear because this is the point of
He
this back
he
part of the
he
video.
he literally turned me down for percentage of it. And it was like, there's going to come a day in your life where people are going to think like I'm trying to undercut you, steal this from you, and remember this moment right now. And this is why I don't want I don't want that to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. This is just my life. This always happens. And yeah, he turned it down.
So I said people are going to tell you that I'm manipulating you. They're going to
Yeah,
tell you that I'm full of crap, and
yeah,
they're going to tell you that I am just trying to steal part of your movie, and that's why I'm involved. I'm trying to take your hard work. That's what I told you they were going to do. That's what you just said.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then one day came and then from that point on, how did your friends think of me?
I mean, not good. I mean, when we were living in LA and Hollywood, listen, there's a lot of shady people, and I guess just because Nate's always been so entrepreneurial and he had his hand in so many things. By the way, Nate was the one who told me to buy Bitcoin in 2014. We were at the AMC in North Hollywood, and I didn't do it. Of course, I wish God, but he was a guy there. But yeah, I mean, Nate just had his hand in a lot of different things, trying to do a lot of awesome stuff, honestly. But just people in LA very skeptical and just thinking wheeler dealers trying to sell him something and
Okay,
trying to
hold on.
manipulate me.
So that's what a lot of people think here. There's people in this body of Christ that think that I'm still wheeler dealer. They now here's the thing. When you talk like that, it sounds like you're confirming it, which maybe I am. You're more than welcome to confirm, okay? Be completely honest here. You don't have to protect me. But here's the
Okay.
thing. Were any of my ventures like a pipe dream that I was trying to develop or build up, or was I actually
No,
doing the things I was telling people I was doing? Was my
no,
stuff real, is what I'm asking, or was it me saying I was doing something, but in reality I was hoping to do? Like
no.
explain that to these
Yeah,
people.
I mean, like the rugby league we were dealing with, Bill Tatum Jr., he worked with Donald Trump in the USFL. We met with Bill. It
Yeah.
was me, you, and the creator of Fangoria at the Fresno Country Club.
Okay.
We drove up in a Prius.
And when Donald Trump came into town, who did his friends tell him to contact to be taken out a night on the town with his family?
Yeah, it was you. You got us into the club everywhere. Despite, my colorful history, I kind of have social anxiety, to be honest with you, and I'm not like an entertainer actor mode. And
Yeah.
Nate was always the guy who got me into the clubs. Nate was always the guy, like, I mean, can I say the social media influencer that we went to? The house in Hollywood Hills, who's like
Yeah,
now famous?
yeah, go. So there was a guy who is now very famous,
Yeah.
and who does he owe really who he's become today to?
Yeah, Ty Lopez owes you a gigantic. I mean, like basically everything that he's talking about a charlatan. That's a real charlatan right there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, Ty for years would only get into the clubs because of Nate. Even then, he had his millions of dollars, which who knows where. Oh, we think we know where it came from. But yeah, Ty would like be there like with trying to talk to girls, and he would like have to get like Nate to talk to them, or get him into the club. Like
But
yeah, like we would.
what did I do for Ty in regards to his life and his career now?
I mean, you were like the one who basically got everyone to his Hollywood Hills house for like everything that he did on those he's doing on those YouTube videos as far as the coaching. You were the one who like brought all the people there, including
And
myself.
And did I ever ask him for anything?
No, in fact, Ty kind of screwed you over, and I don't know if I should go over into that,
Yeah, you don't
but
have to go into that. But
okay.
so once again, I'm doing something for another person who we now know is worth, according to what he tells people, hundreds of millions of dollars. He wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now if it wasn't for me. The world doesn't know that, Derek. I've never gone
Yeah.
public with that, right?
Okay.
Okay, and you're probably thinking, so what are you doing in this video, Nate? You're just name dropping, you're just telling us how important it is. Many of you are wondering if I am using this ministry or I am using like my pain and my illnesses as a way to either get rich or get ahead, or or I have pipe dreams like with the Soraya, or I have symbiosis was something I wanted to do. Derek, when I was doing symbiosis, was that something that I said I really want to do this? I know I'm going to get rich from it. Was there any was it even something I wanted to do?
No, I mean, I know you met with like the local city council when you were in the small town in Tennessee, but I
And they
mean,
asked me to do it. It wasn't something I wanted to do. They asked me to do it.
yeah, I mean, and you were working on that stuff back in the day with Gino and
Yeah, no more
the
names on
guy.
that. No more names on
Okay.
that because that leads to the other stuff that is
Oh,
dangerous,
okay.
life-threatening. So yeah, so
My bad.
but people think that when I was doing symbiosis that it was Nathan trying to come up with a scheme to get rich. When I came toward when I left during COVID, what did I tell you my dream and my ambition in life was?
Just be living for God and have a roof over your head.
Yeah, but then there was a certain type of lifestyle I wanted that people were like, "You want to what? You want to live how?"
Oh, you want to live off the grid?
So I want to live my own water. Well, I want to
Yeah.
have like animals,
Yeah,
right?
you were. Yeah, I'd be making fun of you for like researching that back in like 2012 already.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you could
2012,
get
you knew,
you had like $5 to your name, and you were buying like organic apple seeds.
right. And I was storing up my treasure trove for end times, right? So
Yeah.
so you know that that's been my dream since 2012. I needed you to say it because if I say it, they don't know that. They think
Okay.
that they might be thinking that, oh, whenever I talk about symbiosis or I talk about skin regen or I talk about, anything like that's me coming up with another one of my conniving plans to get rich or some type of thing where I'm trying to get rich. Let me
No,
ask you this, Derek. Like when we went to when we went to well, you talked about how when Donald Trump came to town, he was told to contact me. I took him and his family out. You told about Bill Tatham, and you told everybody about how I was helping him launch what? I was associated
it
with
was the rugby
what?
league.
A rugby league. An
Yeah, and I
IRB. If you guys don't know what IRB is, for the international people, it's like FIFA of soccer. So
right.
IRB is like the NFL for rugby. And I was a member of establishing IRB in America, right? That's
Yeah,
what I was doing.
yeah, and
Okay,
I
so that
wrote
was
the
all
TV
real.
show that
Yeah,
Nathan brought to Bill, and we were gonna like try to like tie it all in together, and that
right,
was that was how we did that. There was contracts, and it
right,
was it was crazy.
right.
And then, like I said, we went up to Fresno to meet Bill. You can Google Bill, like I said. I mean,
Well, that's just
and
one person, but yeah, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I know we only
yeah,
have so
yeah,
much
but
time.
I
So
got
yeah,
you.
go ahead. Do it. Say what you're
But
gonna
yeah,
finish.
like yeah, I mean, Bill's totally legit. Bill was like one of the partners with Trump for the USFL. They actually did beat the NFL in court. Only people who
Right.
ever did it. They won $1 in court though because the
I know.
NFL owns all
Don't
the.
don't get into that. Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, brother. I just gotta stay on
Ah,
topic. Okay,
ah,
so for like about 1 week, I owned a rugby football team. And
yeah.
then I brought in another very famous person. I don't know if you remember his name. He's the richest person supposedly in Los Angeles, right? I brought
Okay.
him in. His name was Gary Winnick, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I met him, and then in 1 hour, I closed him on being my partner for the rugby league, right? And if you
Okay.
guys don't know, you can Google Gary Winnick. He's a multi-billionaire, right? So you know about this. And then once I introduced him to Bill, what did Bill do to me?
Vaguely, vaguely. I'm not like super familiar with that. I do like
But
somewhat remember it.
okay, but what did Bill do when I introduced him to being my partner on the team?
Ugh. I mean, Bill's like I don't. You get to that kind of level, you gotta be careful, man. You gotta be
Right. So
careful.
he basically kicked me out. He tried to make Gary the only partner. So I
Okay.
was first the partner, and then I got Gary involved, and because Gary was such a big name and I was a nobody, he kicked me out. He no longer allowed me to be on the rights, right?
Okay.
So
I
so do
can't
you guys
confirm that, but I,
okay,
I
that's fine. So you see this pattern, right? Between I have this nightclub in Beverly Hills when I'm 21. You guys already heard that story. And then the nightclub gets sold to Larry Flint. I sold the nightclub to Larry Flint. Then I'm homeless in the desert because my girlfriend's dad My fiance's dad ends up taking my money that we're supposed to do web hosting with. He steals my money. Now I'm homeless. I then end up going making $2.4 million between the age of 24 to 26. And then the company is hostily taken over. I lose all my money except for enough to go up to End Oregon, make a movie, an independent film just for myself to play around, play with some equipment. I open up my acting school. You can confirm that I knew all those comedians and was doing the comedian stuff. Yes?
Yeah, like Jay Davis,
No, yeah,
Dane.
yeah. Dan Cook, yeah. I just
Oh,
don't want everybody's last name said. That's all.
oh,
So
okay.
Dan,
Sorry.
if they're already super famous, you could say their full name. It's whatever, right? Okay.
Okay.
So then I'm doing the comedy clubs, right? And then I'm doing my
Right.
acting school. I lose that. I lose the ministry. I'm
Mhm.
homeless. You know I'm homeless. You know that I have my cooler I take. Does
Yeah,
I'm
the
doing
Nate food.
my
I
Nate
have
food
I
cooler,
have that
right?
picture somewhere.
Yeah. I went to and did I go to the Emmys with that? Did I walk the red carpet with my Nate cooler to make a point as a memory? Do you remember that? I'll show the picture.
Uh,
I have it. So,
I
anyways,
don't
my
remember
point
now.
is that I keep having all these amazing opportunities, right? And then I get screwed. And this is the thing that your friends used as ammo to tell you I was a charlatan, to make up
Hmm.
lies about me. How many of your friends told you lies about me?
A
Between
dozen.
the time that you offered me to a percentage of your movie, and I said, do not offer me a percentage of your movie because there's going to come a day where your friends are going to say I'm out to get you and steal from you. And because I'm turning you down today, you'll know my heart forever. I'm here because I'm your friend and because I want to help you. I don't want anything from you, right?
Hmm.
So between that time and then the time basically we all left LA, how many of your friends talked trash about me and told you really horrific lies and actually did their best to make you no longer be my friend?
A dozen. Something like that.
And did you ever get to the point where it was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hardcore you just could not believe them?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
You so what were the things that they were saying that just were like just give a brief example. What were some of the things that you were saying that like what they're saying has to be true?
I think just, when you're in LA and there are so many schemers and pyramid schemes and people with a lot of hands and a lot of different pots, and there are a lot of bad things that happen. And I think they just didn't really get the time to really know Nate and just, assume that Nate was part of that. And that, I was this young, impressionable Hollywood hopeful. And I guess they just didn't want to see me get taken advantage of and, you know, I guess trying to protect me. But yeah, I mean,
So
it was a
did they
lot of
have did they have any proof of the things they were telling you?
no,
But they had a
no.
lot of things that added up to look like it was true.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and because it added up so well, it did
Yeah.
indeed look true
Yeah,
to the
absolutely. Yeah.
point where you basically almost stopped being my friend.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so do you guys see how this matches with today? Do you see what I mean by this all happened before I ever flatlined? This was all before, I ever started doing ministry. So when
Yeah.
I tell
Yeah.
you this has been going on my whole life, do you understand? I know what you're going through. I know that it's there. I know what you see. Okay, so continuing on with this line of thought, because that's really what I want them to hear from you, right?
Yep.
Why did you why did you come back, if you will, and why did you kind of say, you know what? I think Nathan at the end of the day is the one telling the truth.
Um, I guess because I started getting accused of some of the things they accused you of, and I knew that
Mm,
wasn't true for myself.
mhm,
And then in the various junctures of my life, when things have kind of hit rock bottom and frustrating, you were always there. You know what?
mhm.
Through the good times and bad times, you were always there for me.
Was I right that by denying that percentage you gave me of your movie, did that ever stick in the back of your mind? Did the fact that I told you ahead of time when like I didn't even meet any of your friends, did that ever help you in going, well, that's weird,
Mm. I mean, it was weird at the time. I guess maybe a little bit, but I
but
would say
not
the most, I guess the biggest thing is just through time, you can really tell, and through bad times, you can tell who people are.
okay.
And that's
So
why we're the friends that we are to this day.
how good a friend do you think we are now? How good of a friend to you am I?
I mean, I would tell you things I wouldn't tell anybody else on the face of this earth.
Oh, so you really trust me. Do you think I'd ever gossip about you?
No, not unless I told you you could.
Right, that's true. Okay, so I appreciate you giving me this testimony, buddy, and I appreciate you on telling people about how much my life is crazy. But let me just finish
My
on one
life's
more.
crazy too, so
Your life is crazy, yes, but I'm trying to defend myself and trying to also address
yeah.
the weirdness of my life and how it looks. So
I
here's
mean,
one more
listen,
thing.
Yeah, I just want to say I know it's crazy. I know Nate has had all these things, but once again, even if these things were true, which they're not, who is feeding into you like Nate? Like Nate, I remember when we went to Mosaic Church in LA, and Erwin McManus gave an unbelievable sermon. And you even said, you're like, even if that guy isn't really for God, because he's had a lot of things thrown against him that I assume is coming against you, you're like, it's still a net positive for the kingdom. And I would just say that here, like, even if all these things about Nate were true, which they're not, but if they were, like, this guy is pouring into you guys. He is bringing you closer to Jesus. He's given you the word and the truth. And this is what we do as Christians, right? Like, this is why I'm so disillusioned and so many people are, is we're tearing down each other. And yeah, listen, we all have faults. None of us are perfect. We do have to keep each other accountable. But guys, compared to the world around us, like, what the heck? Like, can we
Mhm.
stop like trying to put nails into each other and actually like just think about if Christians actually banded together? Like, let's say like other groups of people, like the Muslim faith, like the Jewish faith. Like, just imagine how powerful we would actually be if we weren't always trying to just tear each other down,
Yeah.
and live in this righteous gemstones world or whatever.
Yeah, amen, buddy.
So it's just honestly, this is why it's just hard for me right now to kind of associate with the people is because of things like that. I know I'm not the only one who
Yeah, I
feels it.
know. And I have done things, bro. I have done things that weren't right. I did spend money on times when I wasn't supposed to. I did sell lies. So I don't know if you heard the first part of the video, but I owned up
No,
to, so I have done wrong things.
I mean, you
But
did spend a lot of money on like the RV, but at the same time, like
no,
you
but that
were
was, that
you
I,
were, you were
they
trying to
knew.
baptize people and go around. You asked me to like film it and do the documentary for it.
Yeah. So
And I
one of the,
mean,
yeah.
no one knew you were gonna like crash that in the desert. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right, but just so let me address this because this was a thing that got brought up. The fact that I had a website that everybody paid for, and then the guy who built it held it at ransom. I know you know about that happening, but he held it at ransom and wanted 20 grand. So that means I had to come up with another 20 grand. And then how do I know next month he doesn't ask for another 20 grand, right? So I just let
yeah.
that die. So, but here's the thing, right? Like I'm gonna go through a list of things you may not know, but I'm gonna tie it into this conversation.
Okay.
They gave me money to build a website. It never got built. It's still not built to this day. I own up to that, right? But there were things outside of my control. There were some things in my control, so I own up to that too. I was just staring at the wall sometimes and I was losing my mind and I was in an unbelievable amount of depression when I should have been building the website. So I own up to that. That's something that's wrong, right? But things like um, one of the examples is like um really what I want to say is that there's an idea about me that I am trying if basically let me where I'm trying to make this super quick. If I wanted to make money, Derek,
Uh-huh.
and if I left this ministry and I moved back to LA,
You would never do that, but okay, go ahead.
I know,
Hypothetically.
but if I did hypothetically, okay, well
Yeah.
one of the things I've never been able to talk about is about 2 years ago I raised money to go to LA. Now I know you know about this trip and I know you know some of the names in this trip, but please don't name any names in this trip, okay?
Okay.
So I go to LA and to this day they don't know why I went to LA, but I'm going to tell them right now. So, but I need you to confirm that what I'm about to say is true. I want you to say the name of the person I met in LA and what I was doing.
Was it for the movie?
Yeah. So who is the person I was meeting in LA?
I don't know if I should say the name, but he was
Yeah,
from
say it.
Oppenheimer.
Who?
He was from the movie Oppenheimer.
He was from it or it was his movie?
It was his movie, yeah.
Okay,
He
so
works he
his
works
name
with
is Chuck.
Nolan.
Yeah, his name is Chuck Roven, and he's the producer
Right.
for a guy by the name of Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
and for a group of movies called DC, a DC universe. So the Batman movies with Christopher
Right.
Nolan and things like that, right?
Not
So
anymore DC, but yeah, the
yeah,
old
now he's
DC before
off.
James Gunn took it over.
Right, exactly. So now he's the old school. Now he's the guy who produced and he won the Oscar last year for Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
probably
I
will win it
met
for Odyssey.
yeah, so I met with that guy and was that don't say anything else, just answer yes or no. Was that movie my movie? Did I so wait, before I ask you that, when you have a contact like that guy, because he's considered
Yeah,
right now one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, right?
absolutely.
Okay, did I go and I meet with him because I wrote them an email, or did I call him up and like, hey, old friend, I have an opportunity. I got something I think that's legitimately worth your while. As a friend, will you meet with me about this?
Yeah, it was you. It was you basically calling him up
Okay.
because you had met him. like right before you left LA, if I recall. And then you just kind of called him up living in Tennessee and he picked
Right.
up and you connected with him.
Right. So when
I
you have
remember
a
you.
when you have,
Yeah.
I know when I had the call, yeah. So when you have
Yeah.
a contact like that, how many times do you get to make that call to say,
Once.
I have a movie for you?
Unless you're already a giant star
Like
or
a
a
Robert De Niro or
producer,
something like that. Yeah.
maybe, and even those guys get no more than two. And
Oh,
very like you got to be a huge like you have to be a Marvel producer to get a second call with somebody like that. So yeah, a guy like you
yeah.
get one call, if
I get one call. So if
if
it doesn't
that.
go well, do I ever get to go back to him with another movie or a TV show?
No, no, he's
No.
never talking to you again. He's
He's and
blocking you, if anything, or avoiding
he's
you.
never talking to me again. So I'm risking my friendship with him if I
Yeah.
bring him a movie. So I bring him this
Yes.
movie. Just yes or no on this. Is
Yep.
this my movie? Did I write this movie?
No, I was trying to get you to bring one of mine.
I know. Yeah, you were trying to get me. A lot of people are trying to get me to use that contact for their movies, right? So
Yeah.
I ended up taking that extremely like if somebody were to pay me
Yeah.
to take their script to him, legitimately, how much do you think I could have charged for just bringing the script and opening that door and having dinner with
Couple
him on a
grand.
one-to-one? A couple
Couple.
grand?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not more.
Okay. So now I did that. I didn't use it for myself. Do I have movie scripts that I've written?
Oh yeah. I mean, tons. Yeah.
Okay. And do I know about movie making like legitimately? Do I know about movie making?
Yes, you are the best acting coach that I have ever met.
Okay. So legitimately, if I were to bring him something, it would be seriously considered.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I didn't bring him something for me on this trip, right? I brought him somebody else's role or somebody else's movie. Burned
Hmm.
my bridge with him. And did I tell you that we got the deal or like he agreed to do the movie or did I say we did not?
I mean, I think it was like a tentative agreement, if I recall. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was a tentative. He needed to it was a yes. It was a soft yes, right? But then he won the
Right.
Oscar and I never heard from him again,
Yeah,
right?
that happens.
Yeah, that it does happen. It for sure happens. So my timing was off. But here's my point. I had something of unbelievable value. It was like a genie of the lamp, but you only get one rub.
Yeah, a
And
lot
I
of people in
used
LA will be friends with you only
because you have it.
because you have access to a person like that.
Exactly. And they know you have it and they're hoping one day they'll have access to it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So
I
you
could tell
guys,
you a
this is
thousand
this
stories like that.
okay. Now I have a lot of contacts like that, you might say, in LA, or I did, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably not so much anymore.
No, not
Same
anymore, of
same
course.
here. I used to
Right.
have contacts too, and they're
Okay,
not they're not gonna do anything for me.
so based on this information, Derek, I just want you to tell the people, right?
Uh-huh.
If I were to leave ministry,
Yeah.
could I go make a name for myself if I threw my moral compass out the window?
Yeah, in probably like 2 years, I think you could do it.
Okay. So 2 years I could be a millionaire, right? And so
I mean, I don't know about millionaire, but you could definitely make money for sure.
well, a heck of a lot more than I'm making now, and probably
Oh yeah.
be a lot more fun, right? So my
Yeah.
contacts are legit. My now you also saw me run my business. You saw that I had a legit business and it was a big deal, right? Like,
Right.
so if I wanted to do another business, if that was something I actually spent my time and effort on, would that be a guy who's like out of his league?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, based upon what you were doing, from your place with the vodka and the
Okay.
number of people you were managing with the limited funds and whatnot,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
I mean,
So
you had like you had the port in Long Beach, which is like the biggest port in the country, where
mhm,
you had the whole stash there,
yeah,
and it was a major operation.
it was a major operation. Okay. So the only reason I'm
We
bringing this
we
up once
honestly
again,
couldn't believe that you had even landed something as huge as that. Like it was like we literally thought you were going to be a billionaire.
well, how many, you know, I had more than one brand. You keep saying vodka, but how many brands did I have? Do you remember?
I don't remember. No.
Well, was it more than 10?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So the reason I wanted you to share all this, brother, is because I really want this to be, I've never name dropped like this. I've never made a video like this. And I think it's important because you saw, now let me just do another example.
Okay.
We were in Texas.
Yeah.
I was
two
opening up
years.
club after club after club, nightclub, restaurants, taking the alcohol, right? I was crushing it, right? You were with me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. And then I found somebody to run Texas for me, right? And then you were there when this happened. What did that man steal from me?
Oh, in Addison,
Yes.
tried to steal everything. He tried to literally sell the company to the Mexican billionaire.
Right. And then so he steals $600 million that was supposed to go to me for the expansion of Texas. And
Uh-huh.
then on that night when I catch him in the act,
Yeah.
what happened to me? So he
Uh,
he does the crime. What happens to me?
Basically, he kicked us out, and we were
Well, who paid?
homeless.
Yeah. I paid for that. That was my revenues that was paying for that, right? But he was on the lease because
Yeah, I
I wasn't going to
mean,
live in Texas. So
you were the boy.
he
You were the one who brought him into that deal
right. So then
through a
he
mutual friend.
yeah, he steals the money and then what happened? Like what was the end result for me that night? That very same night?
You got super drunk, and we had to leave.
Yeah, but what happened to me in my life? Not that part, but what happened? I mean, you could tell that. I'm not, you can tell that. We'll get to me being drunk in a second, actually end on a high note. So when you know exactly where I'm going with that, but don't go there yet. So
I
after
know kung
that,
fu.
yeah, no, I know. After that, I ended up becoming homeless again.
Yeah.
So he ends up stealing from me. He ends up trying to steal my company. He ends up trying to make a deal behind my back with a billionaire, right? And I end up becoming homeless
Yeah.
again,
Basically.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where did I live right after that?
Um, Basically at a spot near downtown that I got you.
Well, no, I I wanted you to say when I was living in your car. So,
Oh yeah, well that was first, yeah, and
yeah, that
then
was first.
there was the famous robe incident.
Right. Don't say anything about that. They don't need to know about that. It's not anything about me. It's about somebody else that we were associated with. It's a funny story, but it's nothing you guys need to know. So, it has to do with another man being naked. It has nothing to do with me and it's no sexual involvement. I'm just saying there was another man naked because I now if I don't say it, you'll fill in the blanks. So, So this guy does something horrific to me. I build up all this network. I have all these nightclubs and all these restaurants and all these people buying my alcohol and my alcohol brand in Texas. And then this guy tries to pull a move to steal my company from me, steal $600,000 from me, and I end up being homeless. Okay.
Yes,
Then then we get back to we shoot a movie in Austin. That guy basically takes the movie for
web
ransom.
series,
Huh?
web
Web
series
series, yeah. We shoot the web series in Austin. That
could
guy
have been
ends
a
up
movie
taking
based upon the amount of time that we shot, but yeah, it was a web
yeah.
series.
So he ends up stealing it
Very
from
high
me.
end web series for that time though. We were
Yeah,
kind of ahead of our time.
we were. That's true. There was nobody doing web series at the time. That's very true. So we shoot that in Austin, and then we go back
Yeah,
to LA. We shoot it again because the first time we shot it, it got taken ransom. The guy tried to blackmail you for it
yeah,
for the
try
video
to black.
footage.
Yeah, for more money,
Yeah,
and basically for 2 years I had to fight him in small claims court, and eventually I won.
yeah,
But you know, possession is 9/10 of the law,
right,
and he just kept it despite me, and we reshot the entire thing in LA
right,
and made it even better for the most part.
right.
But
And was
yeah,
I there for you on that?
yeah,
Did I?
I couldn't have done it without you.
Okay. So then, and then about four
I
days.
asked you to do it again. I mean, why would I ask you to do it literally a second time
Well,
if I didn't trust you?
and this time you asked me to direct, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that got finished, that got done, and then 4 days later I'm in the hospital. You're the
yeah,
guy I call, and you take me to the hospital. I have my NDE, and then the rest
yeah.
is history.
I took you to the hospital, and I think I was the first one to see you in the hospital when you had
You you
the
are,
flat
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was there seeing the nurses of Cedar Sinai be visibly shaken, and yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't say you had the NDE. None of us can, but I can tell you, Nate legitimately flatlined. The nurses legitimately were freaking out, and that was Cedar Sinai. That's one of the most famous hospitals in the country, if not the world.
Yeah. So the point of this again is not to boast me. I know this might seem like that, but the point is to say that Derek is a buddy who's been my friend
Yeah,
since basically 2009. I
yeah,
have sinned, and you know we'll end on a high note. I'll tell a funny. I'll let Derek give an anecdotal story real quick before we log off, or at least Derek logs off. Um, Even you know they say that when you get drunk, your true character, your true nature comes out, right? Isn't that kind of what people say or whatever? So Derek, when
yes.
you used to see me go out to these clubs that I did events at and like so when it was my birthday, do you remember my birthday and how big of a deal that was in LA?
Yeah, Nate's birthday was insane.
Like how many people would show up to my I would have a whole nightclub by myself. They would give
Yeah,
it to me for free. How many
yeah.
people would show up to my birthday?
It was massive. I don't know. It was massive. It was
Thousands.
massive.
Thousands of
It
people would
was
show up.
it was like for somebody who like like wasn't famous, you were like, how the heck did this guy get all these people to show up?
Right. And would
And like,
famous people come to my birthday?
yeah,
And they were
yeah,
like, I'm the rock star.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
not saying
It was
this to boast.
wild.
I'm not saying this to boast. Now, when you saw me get drunk, when I would get tanked,
Yeah.
right? What was the thing I was kind of known for doing?
Well, you saved my life one night.
I did
You
save your
were
life, like a Spider-Man, yeah.
this guy was drunker than can be, and I almost got taken out on one of those small side streets on Hollywood Boulevard. And it was the type of thing that like people even stopped who were like walking, on the boulevard. They're like, "Whoa, that guy just saved your life!" And this guy was tanked, and he had this like neo, like he literally just stuck his arm out. It was like the Holy Spirit like was guiding him, and yeah, it was wild. I'm sober. I've been sober,
You
since I
always
was
been sober, yeah.
19,
Yeah.
and this guy was drunker than can be, and he was the one saving me.
Yeah. But okay, but what was the thing that was funny about like when I got drunk, what would I always try to do to people?
Oh, you would do the Nacho Libre.
Okay, they don't know what that means. Explain it in dumbed down detail.
You would try to baptize people.
In the
You would try to baptize the Jews like in Hollywood, dude.
Yeah. So I would basically turn the night, I would get so tanked, I'd walk around the club looking for people to baptize in the pools and the
Oh yeah,
ponds and the fountains
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm not a good person, guys. I'm not getting tanked like that, by the way, anymore. But my point
No,
is
he's
to
not.
say is that these were the days before NDE, by the way. These were before Yeshua Network and Truth Me Free. But I would go around and I'd be at the club and I'd be having a great time. And once I got too liquored up, the thing that came out of me was I wanted to baptize everybody. I wanted
Yeah,
everybody to know who Yeshua was. I wanted them to know it was his real name, right?
yeah.
All
They'd be
that type
like,
of stuff.
Yeshua, what?
Yeah.
What?
So that's just a funny anecdotal story to try to make this very heavy, very dark story. I just thought you guys might get a kick out of hearing somebody actually testify. One, I still had my ninjutsu skills and saved his life from getting hit by a car. And
Yeah,
then two,
yeah,
that was what I was known for. Like it was a thing. Like I was doing that for quite often. So
yeah. I mean, like the whole off the grid thing, the whole Jesus thing. This has been literally since I've known you. I mean, like even like it was like the third acting class when the acting class basically become Bible study.
yeah.
Um, So yeah,
So
as long as I've known you, that's been you. This is like not like this didn't happen a year ago. This has been going on since 2009, 2010. I arrived in LA.
right. So I don't have the ambition to start another company. I never talked to you about the ambition and I need to start another company. I need to get back to being rich. The only thing I talk to you about is, bro, I need land. I need to get off grid. End of the world
Right,
is coming. I need preps. Like
right.
that, when me and you talk and I talk about my dreams,
Yeah.
it's not like I have ambition to do symbiosis, to do Soraya, to do the fuel thing, right? Like I don't have a desire
Well,
to do
what's
that, right?
what's what's wrong with making money? At the end of the day, like, I mean, we live in this crazy world where you need money to have lands and to do
I
those
know.
things. I
But
mean,
what I'm
I'm
But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to launch some type of success off of the ministry. I'm not trying to finance some type of venture off of the ministry because that's
I mean,
some of the
not
rumors
not
that are
that I'm
going
aware
on.
of. And if you are, it sure as heck ain't happening. I mean, you're not
Right,
you're not you're not rolling in a benzo or anything crazy like that.
right,
You're in a very modest place, month to
and
month, like most
r-
of us.
right. And are my health issues legit, bro?
Yeah, you have major issues, major issues. I don't really know how to say it better than that. It concerns me. But yeah, man, you got some serious stuff going on. You need a lot of work. And I work in that field, and there's a lot of stuff I would love to give you that could help you. You
Yeah,
can't afford it.
right.
You need
So
stem cells.
yeah,
Um, NAD would be good for you, but given your heart history, probably not. Ozone would be good for you. You can't afford it.
right.
You need better supplements. You're on crap supplements. Um,
I warned you
yeah,
guys ahead of time.
you need a lot of work, and you can't
Yeah.
afford it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy. That's it. So again, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate it. I mean, I just wanted them to hear that, these things that are going on, it's all real. I'm not just, I just, and I wanted them to hear that
But like,
the
this is
misfortune of it, the misfortunate, hold on, let me just seal this. The misfortunate things that you have seen happen to me, it's not just like a few,
no,
it's like
no.
constant. And it has psychologically messed with you because you feel bad for me. It's psychologically worried you because you're like, Lord, when are you going to give up on this guy or when are you going to stop the enemy from attacking him? Like that's been before I ever went into ministry. This has just been a part of my life.
I
And
mean,
that's how my life is, right?
it's been super disheartening to me because I know you're someone who legitimately loves God and you've had some really hard times, spiritual warfare and just a lot of crazy stuff. And man, it's just it's not good. But I just want to bring up too, it's like this is kind of the catch 22 that you're in as a pastor. This goes for all pastors, right?
Well, I'm not a
Uh,
pastor, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, people who are leaders, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and once again, like I go back to like Irwin because I was a member of that church in LA for a long time. Is Irwin has his hands in a lot of different things. Like he has a fashion line, he does this, he does that, and people criticize him, and for good reason, I guess, that he doesn't really, he doesn't shepherd his church, so to speak. And his argument is number one, like the church, here in LA, nobody donates. I have to make a living. So here I am actually trying to make a living. I don't want to take money from the church. And also, who's to say that, like a pastor, we can't be creative and have, entrepreneurial endeavors. So it's like, so what do you do? Like, do you just focus on the church and then you are taking more money and resources because you need that to survive? Or do you actually do the entrepreneurial thing and try not to take from the church, but then people accuse you of using the church as a platform? So it's like you literally can't win. You cannot win as a pastor when it
Right.
comes to just having a livelihood. It's like, so what do these guys do?
Right. So, but with my background, do I need Yeshua Network as a platform to launch anything off of?
No.
Okay, that's really what I want these people to hear. And everybody's asking where you shopping, bro. They need to know. It's driving them crazy.
Oh, I'm at a farmer's market right now in
Oh, okay.
Florida.
In Florida. Yeah.
I miss the farmers markets in Austin. These ones kind of suck, to be honest with you. But
I love you, dude. All right,
yeah.
man. I'm gonna let you go, bro. I appreciate your time. I appreciate
Okay.
you giving a testimony
I
on
need
the
to get
account
some
of,
grass-fed steak because I hate Bill Gates. And so does Nate.
yeah, yeah, I sure do. I'm not shy about that. All right,
Yeah.
buddy. Thank you,
All right,
man.
guys.
Be blessed. All right. So there you guys go. That's my buddy Derek. And so again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I am a sinner. I have done wrong. I have said lies. But I just want you guys to understand, like, when you see all the crazy things that happen in my life, it's literally how my life is. I'm sorry. And I do want to be clear about a few other things to seal this video, right? So we've already made adjustments. As I said before, Mary Rainey and Jim Hogg, who I believe everybody trusts, they are staples in this ministry. Mary knows what she's doing. I spoke ill or wrong. It wasn't that I lied. I just spoke wrong in the recent short video I made, saying that, your donations would be seen or whatever. I don't know how that works, but Mary knows how it works. She's already got it all set up. She's already got it all planned. She does this professionally. She does it for churches and Christian schools. So like, so I just want to let people know in the future, you'll be making donations. If you make a donation, you'll be making donations to an LLC because we're not going to be a 501c3. I want to be clear about that. It will be an LLC. You'll make a donation to the LLC. Jim Hong and she um will have all that control. I won't have any control of the money. I won't be able to do anything with the money. So they'll have the control of it, and then it will go towards paying my bills, at least for now. If you do donate, it will go towards paying my bills, but they'll have the ability to pay those bills. And we won't show your name. I misspoke when I said that. We won't show your name, but we will show, because there's going to be an app like GoFundMe where there will be a total amount that will be needed monthly for my livelihood, and I will work towards it with Uber and still work or have a job. I'll work towards it as well. But if you want to donate towards it, then your donation will show up. So if you want to know if your donation is counted, financial oversight, thank you, yeah, and accountability, right, and transparency. These are all the words that we definitely need. This is needed. There's a rumor going around that I never wanted this. And that really, really breaks my heart, because the specific people that were saying I never wanted this transparency, this accountability, those people have sat down at tables with me and Alex for hours on end long ago. And we were trying to figure out, well, we don't want to be a 501c3. Well, then how are we're going to have to pay taxes. Well, if we pay taxes, then we got to raise enough money to pay the tax. And if we don't, now we're in trouble. And, it's this and that. And so we're not going to be a 501c3. How do we formulate it? Who's going to be on the board? Who wants to be associated? Who's going to be in control of the money? Because whoever's in control of the money, that goes on their taxes, right? So how does this all work? Well, God bless Mary Rainey, because she knows how to do all this. She's done it before and she's putting it together. I've never had this opportunity. We've never had the opportunity. So for the people who told you I didn't want to be transparent, I didn't want to be accountable, that's not true. Could I have created a system where I was accountable? Yes. Did I not because I was ashamed of my bills? 100%, especially with my credit card debt, especially with my car bill, my rent bill. I was ashamed. I'm just telling you right now, guys, I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I felt horrible. I feel horrible. So I want to confess something else, right? Like I want, and it's, I'm not trying to give you little nuggets in your head to eat away at you. I'm trying to show you an example of the reality for me on this, right? Um, when I was living on the farm, I'm straight man. I know you guys have never seen me with a girlfriend ever since my ministry. I've been single since 2018, 2019. I know you never see me with a girlfriend, but I like women, and it would be nice to have a girlfriend one way. It's a true story. So I know I'm from LA. You have to say you like women if you're from LA. So, the truth of the matter is, when I was living on the farm, if I ever went on a date, I would have to drive all the way into Nashville because there was nobody in the farmland where I lived. I mean, truly, there was nobody in the farmland for where I lived. And the town I lived in didn't even have a stop sign. I think I joked about that before, but that's absolutely true. The town I actually lived in did not have a stop sign. So if you're like, oh, my town was a one stop sign place, right? It's like, it's like I didn't even have a stop sign. So I had to go all the way into Nashville, which technically was the closest city for me to go and date in. And when I did, I couldn't go on a date and drive an hour and a half back to the farm. I would have fallen asleep behind the wheel. So I would have to rent a hotel. I'd have to get a hotel. And because it's Nashville and because it was a Saturday or Friday night, it was expensive. So sometimes I would pay like $150 at like a motel. I'm never like not a hotel, a motel. I pay $150 and then you have the hotel tax, you have the parking if they charge for parking, you have all these things and it would add up. And the truth of the matter is, I was super embarrassed and I didn't feel right going on dates. But I also was living all alone on 80 acres and I felt like I was losing my mind at times. I felt like I needed some social other than hanging out with Alex and his kids. And that kind of ate me apart because I would see Alex and his happy family and his happy kids. And, granted, they put up with me and they allowed me to be a part of the family. It was amazing. It was absolutely beautiful. But Alex, even knows that I had issues. Like it would break my heart because I realized I'll probably never have that. So I would get all sad and depressed. And then that wasn't fun for his family to have me around. So it was best for me to go do my own thing. So I would have to go into town and it was never cheap. I could never go on a cheap date. And it ate me up. It really ate me up. And if I went on 2 dates a month, it could add up. It could add up to a lot of money. Just 2 dates. So here's the thing. When you live off of donations, whether people, there's so many people like, I give you donations because I love you. I give you donations because I believe in you and you did wrong with it. Okay, I did. I did. I spent it on stuff maybe I shouldn't have, but it wasn't hookers. It wasn't coke. It wasn't, I didn't blow it on gambling. I never went to a casino with it. It was none of that type of stuff. If I ever spent it on investments, it was because I was trying to make it so you guys never had to give me a donation again. Right. But in all reality, my misappropriation of funds was probably me buying prep stuff I maybe not have really needed. I maybe shouldn't have gone on that date. I should have gone. I don't know if the girl would have been able to. Maybe we should have gone to like Taco Bell or Chipotle. But in all honesty, I don't know too many women my age bracket or who will say yes to a date to Chipotle. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I did these things. I probably shouldn't have. I felt really bad about it. Um, I did buy things, some in-time prep stuff that maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just rolled the dice and just die. I know there's things like that. I admit all these things. I'm admitting it to you. I'm telling you right now. I did have credit cards. I should have told you how much my credit card debt was instead of hiding how much credit card debt I had. I should have told you how much I'm spending and just paying off credit card debt. Do you understand what I'm saying? I should have been honest with you on that. But I was absolutely terrified, and I just wanted the ministry to be about ministry. And so I made really bad choices, just like I made really bad choices with Dominic that night where I talked horrible about Michelle and he recorded it and it got back to Michelle and it just ended up, being stupid. I didn't need to lie. I should have just said to him, you know what? I am in love with Michelle. I think she's the most beautiful person. I think I've never seen the Holy Ghost pour out of a person more purely. And I look forward to the day when the Lord joins us in matrimony. I should have said that on the phone, but because I was in such a crazy, deep, dark place, I chose to say a lie, and same exact thing I said. I chose to say a lie. I'm not a day trader, but I wanted to day trade so that I could make money and still do ministry and still live on the middle nowhere farm. And so I said I was one. I guess maybe I was in the mentality of, well, if you speak it, maybe it will be true. It doesn't matter. It was a lie. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have said it, and it came back to this ministry and it bit me in the butt. There's other lies. There's other lies I said, like the one where I said I was at the hospital, but I was on my way, and then I decided not to go. I've lied to you. Not not about ministry stuff, but in other things. And I have lied to other people about other things, right? So I'm just trying to make sure that I feel like I'm getting my thing out there. I never want to talk about this again. I never want to bring it up again. I don't want any of the people who told you that I was doing something that now I've proven I can't do because I don't have $25,000 in my bank account. I have no desire to own crypto. And as he said, I told him, and I told other people about crypto. There are people in this ministry who I told about crypto, and they made $350,000 from my tip to get it. Some of you lost money. I know. I mentioned it at a meetup. But there's other people that made $350,000 because I gave them a tip they didn't know about, right? And I don't feel bad about that. If anybody would have held on to it, like I said, if I would have held on to it, like I told myself, but if I always felt like I needed it to pay rent, like if I would have held on to it, I would be doing better right now for sure when the market's at its highest ever, right? But I didn't, and that's the thing. That's how it works. And I even did say that at the meetup, and I apologize that I shouldn't even bring those things up at the meetup. But if you know those type of things and you want to help people. I felt bad because there was people I didn't tell. And when Bitcoin was at 32 cents, 32 or 30, $32, excuse me, $32, $38. There was people I could have told about Bitcoin, but I was so scared what they would think of me. Like he said, people judge me because nobody was talking about Bitcoin when I was talking about it. I found it, and I want to make sure that I say this for real. I found Bitcoin because I was looking at the Bible for end time prophecies, and I was looking for the money they could turn off. And so while Bitcoin is not the point of this conversation, my point is to say is that I still, from this day to the day I die, will always watch the stock market. And the chiming that you're hearing in the background is never me making trades. I'm going to do it one more time to make sure that everybody knows what the sound is, because I know some people weren't here. So I'm going to send a text message to myself. So anytime you hear this, this is not Nathan making a trade in the middle of a video. Do you hear that? Sounds like a coin, I guess. That's what people say. Does that sound like a coin? I'm told that it sounds like I made a trade. And that's what I've been accused of. One of the things I've been accused of. That sound is me even trading while I'm doing ministry. I'm going to continue to watch the stock market the rest of my life because that's how I knew Bill Gates was going to quit Microsoft before he did. That's how I knew he was going to go full time into vaccines before it reached the news. I came out and I said it before it was made public. And you know how I know these things? You know how I know before everybody else? Because I watched the money and I'll watch it every morning. It's how I do my coffee. It's how I do my sunrise. It doesn't matter what career I do. It doesn't matter if I'm doing ministry. And I've told you guys before to do that. I've told you guys, watch the money, learn these things. You don't have to trade, but you should watch it. And I'm going to watch it for the rest of my life because that's how you know what they're about to do to you 6, 9 months, years into the future. And I've not been shy about that. I've not been shy. I made a video about Nvidia when AI saved the market, that it was supposed to totally crash. And I said AI is about to become the biggest thing. The governments need it in order to save the economy. I said all this stuff, right? So and I've been open with you. I didn't hide that. I didn't hide that I knew that information. I came out publicly with you, right? Again, not trying to say I'm not guilty of sin, not trying to say I didn't do things wrong. I did things wrong, and I am apologizing it for it. I'm making the whole story known. I also want you guys to now have the full story. You've heard some names: Donald Trump, Bill Tatham, Chuck Roven, big movies, Christopher Nolan, all the biggest comedians in the world. Like I'm name dropping not because I need to, because I want you to think I'm cool, but so that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt, if I wanted to, I could go and I could do that. He said he confessed, he told you I could go and do that if I want to. Maybe it'd take me 2 years. I think it'd be a year. He says it may take me 2 years, right? So my point is to say is I finally told the story. I've really given you the understanding of where my background's from. My company, he said, billions of dollars. So when you give me a donation, right, to end this video, when you give me a donation in the future, you'll be giving it to Mary and Jim. I won't see it. I won't know you gave it. And that's really important because one of the things that has caused me to be extremely depressed, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody, I'm eternally grateful, but there was a few individuals, not everybody, not 90% of you know, but there was a few individuals who gave significantly, and they made sure that I kind of had to ask for it. I kind of had to grovel for it. I kind of had to explain what my issue was. And some of you are like, well, I feel like you're manipulating us. Some people got back to me from the gossip train and said, well, you're manipulating people when you mention that you have an issue and this and this and that. It's like, well, we don't have a normal system. And a lot of people are like, well, there's no normal system because you're not transparent and you're not accountable. We're not seeing where the money's going. So all that is changing, but you need to know I'm not going to touch it. And your name will not be shown. Okay. Your name will not be shown, but the amount will be shown if you want to donate, if you want to. Your amount will be shown, it will be added to the balance. You'll see where the money's going, you'll see what it's going to, and so on and so forth. All that has changed. That's me responding. That's me being accountable, truly. Not saying I'm accountable. That's me being accountable for the wrongs I've done and for not giving this ministry the foundational root that it needs. Because without that, we haven't been able to grow. But I didn't want to be a 501c3. I didn't know how to do it. So once again, God bless Mary Rainey. So she knows how to do it. She's setting it all up. It's fantastic. So, and then the other thing is, if you write me, if you ever write me and you say, hey, I made a donation, once this system gets going, if you make a donation now, I'll see it, right? In the old ways, I'll see it. It's going to me. But if you make a donation in the future, once this system is in place, and you write me and say, hey, I just sent you a donation of blank, blank, blank. It doesn't matter if it's $10, if it's a huge donation, like $1,000 or something crazy like that. Listen, I'm going to return it. And I won't be able to accept any more donations from you. Because one of the things that caused me to lie, I know this isn't validating. I was wrong for lying. But one of the reasons why it caused me to lie was that the shame I felt and I felt like I was beholden to people who made donations. And if I didn't, if I didn't take their text message right away, or I didn't respond to them right away. And I noticed too that when people give bigger donations and I, I have to ask for it and so forth, they also don't want to watch my videos anymore. They want to just be able to send me a message and I reply to them immediately. They want access to me. And I can understand. I can understand. Maybe I want that too. But to protect me psychologically from that in the future, if you make a donation and you tell me, I will send the money back and you will not be able to donate anymore to this ministry. And if you do it accidentally, I'll just say, let's give it a year or something like that. But like, it's going to be a thing. I'm going to mention it. Anytime I mention donations, I'm going to say, if you let me know what you donated, I will send it back. So please don't do that. And that is to protect me from feeling any type of beholden nature or guilt or like I owe you something or anything like that. And it's really bad and it messes with your head. And if it's like this, and I wanted to give this analogy. I know you may not need it, but I want to give the analogy. It's like going up to a homeless man one day and he said, you see a storm coming and you're like, hey, how much is that motel down the street? And he's like, man, I need 25 bucks to stay in that motel tonight. And you're like, well, you can't be out in this rain, man. There's no overhangs. There's nowhere for you to go. Here's 25 bucks. Go and get that motel tonight. All right. Be blessed. You drive away. You think you did a good thing. You are showing love on that person. You genuinely appreciate that person, but you showed up to that person in a black car. And maybe that person said something along the lines of like, well, I'm really hungry. You're like, I'm sorry, all I got is 25 bucks, but I'll give it to you so you can stay in the hotel. So you drive away, you come by, you go to that store 2 days later, you pull up your car, and there he is holding a sign saying people with black cars. Your car happens to be black. He holds a sign that says people with black cars are jerks and shisty, something like that, right? And so now what you do is you end up going around everywhere and you go into the grocery store and you start talking to the clerks and you start talking to people. Hey, there's that homeless man out there. He's ungrateful. He must be a drunk. You got so offended because your car happens to be black and he happened to write something about people with black cars. You don't know it's you he's talking about, but he said something that seems like it could be you. And that's what has happened with me as well with people. I'm not saying necessarily in this situation, but I'm saying that there were people who donated and maybe I'd say something, or there are people who are heavily involved in this ministry and maybe I'd say a video, and they assumed it was them because it could kind of almost be them. Right. And even now, with the threat, if you will, that I gave, that I could bring out dirt, there's going to be people being like, is he talking about them? Is he talking about them? I'm not saying names for that very reason because I actually don't want to do harm, right? But the thing is people will say he's meaning me. And that person who's driving the black car is going to say that person with the sign means me because he asked me for more money for food, but I didn't have it. So there's some type of internal dialogue, guilt, and then they start getting pissed and then they start spreading rumors to all the cashiers at the grocery store. So now the cashiers at the grocery store tell the manager, and then that they tell the manager to kick that person off that corner where he was able to survive. And that's exactly what it feels like when you're in ministry and you're surviving off of donations. If that person gets pissed, if you say anything and they accidentally take it wrong and you didn't even mean them, they pull the funding. Hey, was that about me? Hey, I don't appreciate that. And if they don't say it because they don't know if it was about you, then they start spreading gossip or they start saying nasty things about you to counterbalance the hurt that you did to them. I have indeed hurt people that way. I have, and I'm sorry. And I'm being completely and utterly genuine. I'm not trying to make this like a joke. I'm being serious. I know I've said things that hurt people, and I'm very sorry. Okay. But I cannot be open and I cannot tell the truth anymore. I really need to tell the truth from now on. I really like, even if it sucks, even if it hurts. This is another reason why, and I know this may seem weird, just forgive me. I have to put it out there. This is also why I can't be friends. I can't be friends with anybody in the ministry. Because if you're my friend like Derek was my friend before the ministry. If I were to come on here and I were to say something that matches Derek, well, I know he doesn't care because he's Derek. He's great like that. He just wouldn't care. If I was trying to be malicious and attack him, he'd care. But my point is to say is like it's protecting you and it's protecting the ministry for us not to be friends. Because bad things do happen to me, arguments do happen between friends, but when it's the muddies the water with ministry, and my ministry is me giving a testimony online all the time, it makes it super dangerous. It just makes it a time bomb ready to explode. So for some of you who are like, "Hey man, I'm here from you, here for you. I want to talk." How come he never reaches out? Is that more of his shadiness? He doesn't want me to know? Why doesn't he want to like let people in? I don't want to let people in because the more people you interact with, the more opportunity there is for people to get hurt by things I might do or things I might say. And I'm not intending to hurt you. I'm not even talking about you. I know it's going to happen from things I said in this video, but it needs to be said because there are people who aren't repenting for what they did to me. But I'm here letting the air out of the bag, right? I'm here admitting the crimes I've done. So my point is to say is it's better for us not to be friends. I'm going to minister and we'll be friends through the ministry. We do meetups, we'll hang out, we'll have great times. If we had a meetup every weekend, great. But we're not going to be friends outside. And it's not because I don't like you. It's not because I don't think we'd have great friend times together or wonderful fellowship together and we could click like friends. I am doing it to protect the ministry. I'm doing it to protect my sanity. And I'm doing it to protect the fellowship you have with everybody else. Your fellowship with everybody else through this ministry is more important than me having friends. Do you understand? So it's super important. Don't tell me you made donations and don't ask me to be friends. Not because I don't want to, but because I'm protecting the ministry, right? So um I just want to make that clear and I'll make it clear in the future if somebody says, "Hey, I'll send them to this video. Watch the last 5 minutes of the video, you'll hear me talk about that." But I do think it's important that you guys understand my life is really cursed seeming. I have unbelievable quantities and situations of bad luck and bad things. And a lot of it is nothing I did. In this situation, I told lies and it came back to bite me in the butt. But like my car going to the shop, I mean, I guess you could say I crashed the RV, but it fell into a water gully. The tire slipped. It was middle of the night. There was no lights. The slipped and it fell into the water gully. Like, yeah, I guess I was the one driving behind the wheel, but do I want to crash my own home? Who's more hurt by the RV crashing? You or the guy whose home it was and is still paying it off to this day? Who's more hurt? Me, right? So, you know, if none of this conversation would be happening. All my lies in regards to this scenario would have never happened if I never took a donation, which is why it hurt me so bad that God wouldn't let me have my success with my businesses and just gave me 1 year. One more year was the year I was reaping all my profits. And they were a lot. I could have financed this ministry and churches for the rest of my life, and I still would have been fine. It was that much. I'm not exaggerating. Finance church after church worldwide, and I could have been all my money and your donations could have been to other people. You never would have been in my pocket. I could have donated and paid for it all, and it would have been great. And some of you have said things like, well, you being broke is like a wonderful thing for me. Well, I need you to stop that. I need you to stop being happy that I'm broke or I'm suffering. I need that to stop being one of the things that I bless you with, right? I need to be okay. I need to get off the donation tit, right? A teat, I guess you would say on the sense of a cow or nursing mother, right? I need to get off of it. It's got to go. So if you are like, Nathan wants to abuse this donation thing and all that. I want to never get a donation from you ever again. Nobody wants that more than me. I want to figure out a way to be my own man, to stand on my own 2 feet, to one day buy my own land that you do not buy me. And that was another thing. There was money, $3,000 was raised from let's buy a house for Nathan. I was the person who put a stop to that. If you're one of those people on that committee, please leave that comment that I was the one who stopped that. I knew we would never reach that total. I knew it would go on forever. I was in the middle of my move into where I'm at right now. And then people who were part of that committee said it was okay for me to use it for like, getting prepared and moving into here. And I probably was supposed to reimburse it and replenish it or something like that. And I didn't because I've never gotten ahead, guys. I just haven't been able to get on my feet. I still haven't been able to get on my feet. So I'm sorry I did not replenish it. I'm sorry if once again in that circumstance I misappropriated funds, right? I'm not being facetious or anything. I'm being serious. I am sorry. Okay. But yeah, please take it out of your heart that you rejoice in that I continue to praise God in my suffering, and I continue to praise God and serve God in my struggles. Please take that out of your heart. Like just instead praise God for my background and my expertise and my experience and praise God for what, might be in store for me that provide allows me to be a man of abundance. Because let's remember, oh, one of the things that was left out. The guy who said he had AIDS when I was living in Texas with him and living in the car and my company was being stolen and then I became home or trying to be stolen and $600,000 was stolen and I was living in the car, right? And then that whole deal, right? When that happened, that guy who lived rent free and I gave him a career and a job and food and everything like that, and he was in God's chosen man, he slept with my girlfriend. And the last thing he told me before I came out to Texas was he had AIDS. Did I kill him? Did I banish him when he called me up? I was like, bro, I forgive you, but you really messed up. So he's not my friend anymore, that's for sure. And then the reason I found out he was having sex with my girlfriend when I was here was because he called me drunk, telling me that the guy who slept on my couch, the other guy, the homeless guy who slept on my couch, that I also got a job to care of, his name is Nathan as well. He stole my girlfriend from him. And then they got married, and they're married to this day. So that's what happened to me while my company was trying to be stolen, while $600,000 was stolen, and I was homeless again in Texas. All that happened to me. So when I say, like, you guys don't know the surface, and I know I don't know the surface of you either, there's a lot of things I struggle with and I'm going through that you don't know about. I can't tell you because it would be out of control. You lose your mind, you become depressed on my behalf. So it's a thing like the level of bad stuff that has happened to me it makes great testimony. It's super interesting and it's, I guess, intent to make good movie or something or television show or something, but it's got to stop. I cannot keep living this way. I cannot keep having these things happen. And when I say I cannot, I mean I cannot, right? So, and then so if there's drama here, again, to seal this video, I know that I am intense. I know that I come off as a bull in a china shop. I have been it's been explained to me that I'm that way. It's been explained to me that I'm intimidating. It's been explained to me that I'm manipulative and things like that. For the sake of my sanity, I promise you, I don't mean to do you harm when I do harm. If I lie, it's because I have a very weak moment. It doesn't mean it's right. I have a very weak moment, and I'm so distraught and so distressed that I just need a break from the fire. I just need the fire to go away because if not, I am going to die, right? If it ever happens again, it probably will. Please understand, I don't mean to be a bad man. And there are times where if I lie and I do things, that makes me a bad man, right? If I don't repent, but I'm repenting of it now, right? And so what I'm saying is that please, please, the first moment somebody has a thought in your head about how I'm a sky schemer, conniver, something doesn't add up on my story, reach out to me. And if I know you don't want to talk to me on the phone because I'm too aggressive, you don't want to talk to me on video, you don't want to do it on a Zoom, write me an email. Truth Me Free 832 will always be an email you can use if you want to make sure that it goes somewhere where it's not going to be seen by anybody working on Yeshua Network. I'm the only one who answers that email. Please write me an email because I cannot I cannot deal with the horrific misfortunes I'm dealing with in life and misfortunes here at Yeshua Network. This is my sanctuary too. And I do my best to keep this place a sanctuary for you and to keep this place protection for you. And and I just pray that you will enjoy it. You know what I mean? I pray that you will be able to enjoy it, and I'll do my best to take care of this for you and keep this place running, right? But I can't have it. I need this place so, and it will be a positive place for me if you come forward and call me out. And you don't have to say, I know you're doing this. Like if you don't have proof, don't say I know. Go, it's adding up. This is what my brain is thinking. This is what my heart is feeling. You can come to me with that. I will, if I am doing it, I will admit it. I will admit it. I know you will think right now, no, you won't. What am I doing now? I will admit it, right? But don't allow it to fester. Don't allow it to grow into a thing that affects everybody else. Because that I can't handle. And I mean that right now. I cannot handle it. Right. And so I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna stick with this. I know that Kara says I need to get out of the ministry. Nathan, you need to step back and get discernment from the Holy Spirit. He will guide you in what you need to do next about this ministry. Right now, it seems toxic. Well, there's nobody else to run it. I'm the only one who can handle this. So I have to deal with it. But I'm not going to take a step back completely. We're fixing it. I have brothers and sisters who have come on, Jim and Mary, and you guys, now the air is out. I feel lighter. I feel better. I'm sure not everybody feels lighter with this whole scenario. I'm sure that for some people, the ick feeling is there. But I feel better, and I at least know that I can be completely honest with you guys. You're going to see my whole budget. You're going to see all my bills. You're going to see everything. Again, you don't have to donate. The ministry isn't contingent upon that. We're going to create a private group where those things are seen. The transparency will be there. You'll be able to look at the budget every month. You'll look at what was paid and what wasn't paid, knowing I didn't do that. I didn't touch it. All that kind of stuff will be ran by those people, right? And so, um, yeah, just write me. Just that's all I'm trying to say is just if you have an issue with me, write me, and I'm sorry in advance if I make a mistake again, and I do bad things again, and I'm not, and yeah, I've never said I was a good man. I never said I was a holy man. I mean, I do the 40-day holiness challenge like you, but that doesn't mean that I'm perpetually living in a state of holiness. I've never said I was. So, that's it. Thank God for Derek. Thank God for you. Let's go ahead and just kind of take a breather. Tomorrow I will post, obviously no EBRT tonight. Tomorrow I will post the graphic for testimony to kick the week off right. I'll post the graphic for EBRT for next Sunday, and I hope to God that my spirit is strong, and if I feel the Lord is telling me to leave, or you guys, if you guys really have a good case why I should step out of the ministry, go ahead and make your case. Write me, tell me, tell me why I should step out. I mean, Kara said, I should seek the Lord, but if you don't think I sought the Lord to do this video, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't think I sought the Lord and I had my friend who was able to kind of give clarity and give a full explanation and kind of, I was able to defend myself, not validate my sin. I was able to defend myself and explain my weird life by asking Derek to come on, and I didn't put mud on anybody's face, and I didn't throw anybody under the bus, and I didn't get revenge. If you don't think I was praying to God and this wonderful result happened, I think it's a wonderful result. Maybe some people don't, but I think this was a wonderful result. I feel better. I don't feel like I need any more revenge. I don't feel like I need to ever talk about this again, which is why this video is so long. I can always just tell people to go to this video now and it will speak on my behalf. They can hear the whole story and they can understand, anything they hear or anything they see in the past up to this point. It'll be, I hope it's explained. I think it is, but if it's not, that's all right. So, and I do hope that if, I do hope one more thing. I do hope that if somebody did come to you with this it was the intention behind it that I saw. And some of you reported back, you gave me letters and emails in case I went public. You gave me written out letters and emails to say this was the conversation, this is how it went. These were the threats I got if I didn't leave, Yeshua Network, if I didn't stop being associated with you. They stopped talking to me because I wouldn't leave or I wouldn't, pull away. You wrote me these things. I have this documented. I'm going to keep them, but I don't plan on ever using them. And the only reason I'm saying that, because some of you, will show it. No, because if I show it, that only causes more strife. I don't need to show it, but you guys know. And my point is, if you're one of those people, I hope that you will reach out to those people And I hope you will ask them to confess the sin they did to you, saying that I was doing something because they concluded it without proof, and they don't have proof, and I did do wrong, but not that. And I hope that you would be like, it's really wrong that you gossip like that. It's really wrong that you perpetuated it out into the community like that. And look at the damage it's done. We've all have this horrible experience now. Yes, because 90% of it is Nathan went through his issues and did what he did, but the other 10% that made it everybody's issue was the gossip. Right. So yes, 90% is always going to be, of course, my fault, but the other 10%, if it becomes everybody's fault, that's why. Right. And I think that, there should be people who step forward and say, hey, just as Nathan just gave he confessed to his sin, this is my sin. They don't have to make a video, but if they want to write it out in testimony or prayer or friends and family group, those groups are open. You can post, all that if you want. Nobody's blocked. So if you, again, like if I'm a bad guy, even in how I handled this, okay, even in how I have handled this, I am authentically welcoming you once again and begging you with the value of my soul to heaven, please write me and express your feelings and concerns to me directly. And I will do my absolute best to make the corrections just as I have today. I don't think I could say I've said this before in videos and it didn't produce any result. I had to threaten people in order to get result. So I don't regret that, but I hope I don't ever have to do that again. I hope you genuinely see I will come forth. I will admit my wrongs. I hope you will see that. Again, I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes because I just feel like every time I say that, I feel like I'm justifying myself. There is no justification in my behavior for the things I've done. Okay? Be blessed. Be the blessing. I'll post tomorrow. We'll be back in that regard. And hopefully, this washes away sooner than later. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your, no matter when you watch this, thank you for taking the time. I haven't read your comments except for the ones you heard me read. So I'll go back through and I'll read. If you want to leave me a comment or you want me to get a message that you commented, you can also send me a private message through Yeshua Network. Okay. Yeah. All right. Talk to you later.